By the way, should we use that fake name for now? Testosterone Tantrums or what?
Yep, I think so.
Okay, so here we are. Actually, this is perfect. You're already frustrated, Josh. Here we are, Testosterone Tantrums, episode 3. We're going to be talking about being buried alive, how to face buried alive, how to face multiple adversities as a man. Both Josh and I are having weird weeks this week where we just ran into a bunch of different roadblocks in our work and our home lives and stuff, and just feeling a little down about it, and keen to relate and share stories around that kind of thing, because I think it's something a lot of men experience and they feel like they shouldn't be, you know. But first, Josh has.
I think beyond a lot, I think every man out there will have the sense of being buried alive at some point under a pile of shit. I think that's a common condition.
I think so too.
I have a kickoff for us though, Sean, because our last episode was on friendship, and it just made me think of our friendship. So
let's do it. And for the record, while Josh is queuing that up, this is the perfect example of what we're talking about, because Josh tried to do something sweet by sharing this video, and technically it wasn't working out. And so it almost brought him to his knees.
We just spent the last half an hour not starting to record because I couldn't figure out how to share this sound. Sean, I wrote you a song, and maybe this is also the theme song for the show. I don't know. Here we go. Give me the thumbs up that you can hear it.
Well, me and money, we got a big plan. We're gonna change the world with the mic in our hands. Talking about life, talking about work, talking about how he drives me berserk. But when we get real close, folks start to say, I got more than just words to convey. But we're podcasters in love, well, not the kind of love. Two guys talking with a push and a shove, sipping whiskey, shooting the breeze. Ain't no romance.
Great. It could be an intro. That's fucking awesome. Let's use it. Dude, that's
Podcasters
great.
in love, bro.
Podcasters in love, talking about life.
Now you and me.
Hang on.
Well, every week we sit down, face.
All right, it goes on for 3 more minutes.
I know. I looked at the link. I was like 3.5 minutes. So like, we're gonna have to cut.
Wait a minute here. Wait a minute.
But yeah, dude, let's use that for our intro moving forward. We can do it really makeshift like that, where you pull up a shared screen and have to play the music.
Yeah. And now our intro. Beep. Press the button.
Hold on a second.
Yes, we should do that. But can we also get one of those machines that makes the bow, 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 bow sound?
Yeah, we gotta get some sound effects. You're right.
So fucking obnoxious.
Fuck.
Oh my god.
Yeah, we gotta figure out that we gotta step up our sound effect and intro game here.
Yeah,
I'm okay with it. Side note, Josh, just this won't be part of it, but what do we do with the lag thing? 'Cause it's already happened twice where I've talked over you. So do we just try to take a breath before we say what we want to say? Probably, hey?
Yep.
Yeah, because already you were like, you and I are both about to tell a joke, and then we both started talking, and like, fuck, there it is. Okay, so we'll just try to take a breath.
Yep. Sounds good.
Well, I appreciate that very much, buddy. That's a sweet gesture, but it's also, that's great. Let's use it as our intro for now while we figure out what the hell we're doing here. Maybe it becomes the intro forever.
Songwriting is, in another world, I'm a songwriter. You know, there you go.
With the help of ChatGPT or what?
No, but it was definitely helped with some AI.
It's like, wow, they really touched up your voice.
AI's getting crazy, dude. I can go from no Podcasters in Love song to fully produced Podcasters in Love song in 2 hours.
That's amazing, dude. Thank you for doing that. That's really nice. You had a crazy week too, and so did I. So I appreciate that in such a busy week. And it was funny, before this meeting, Josh and I were like, we had some topics we wanted to get into. Male loneliness, to expand on that after our friendship conversation last time. Also, boundary setting, since that's such an issue for guys. Nice guy syndrome. But today I showed up and I was like, dude, I need to talk about how guys deal with multiple adversities and burnout and shutting down and feeling defeated and hopeless and overwhelmed, because that's where I'm at today. And, you said right away, oh, dude, I feel ya, which is usually the case. So it seems like this is a really common experience for men. So I'd love to just jump into this and talk about being buried alive under the pile of shit. Yeah, so first of all, Josh, like, how can you relate to that? Like, immediately you were like, oh, man, I'm feeling that too.
Yeah. Well, who can't relate to it? Like I said in the beginning, I think every guy either has or will experience this buried alive feeling of just like a pile of shit on top of you. And if you are not one of those people and you never do, good for you. And I hate you.
Yeah,
But-
totally. Go fuck yourself.
Go fuck yourself.
They have
No.
other issues they deal with, right? Like lack of motivation in general or whatever. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
just different side of the same coin. But
I think that I can think back through my life, multiple times where I've had this sensation of overwhelm through a very legitimate pile on top of me.
Mhm.
The ones of note that I would bring up is, I was running my own business, cleaning driveways and gutters and windows and vinyl housing in Vancouver years ago. And I got a call from my mom, and they had found a shadow in her lung. The long story short is I immediately basically imploded the business, went home to take care of hers. My dad wasn't at home at the time. Found out it was cancer. It moved to her brain, and 30 days later she died. But like that went from dating someone to like the business to like moving back there to taking care of all the house stuff and her, and my brother's on the autistic spectrum, so his sort of necessities of the time because we were much younger. And inclusive like all of the negotiating with the hospitals and stuff around things, and her and my dad were on the outs, so like being the middleman there, it was just like everything at the fucking same time.
Well,
And it was intense. So that was one.
sorry to hear that. Yeah, that sounds like a lot, but that's all those things are so normal. Those are all normal things.
Yeah,
but just happen all at the same time.
I know 3 people right now that have a spouse or a parent or something that's dealing with cancer or whatever, and just all the medical weight that has.
Yeah.
So that was one, but even just more simply than something so dramatic. I remember when my first son was born, when Arjuna was born, like we had moved to a new town, we were having a baby. We had just gotten married, like, only a year prior or whatever. We were opening a yoga studio. Like, literally, he was born, and then we opened, like, a week later kind of thing.
Crazy.
And we're, like, in a lot of debt. We had thrown down a lot of money and gotten a lot of bank loan to build the studio out. I think $350,000 or something, So... I was a young man, and then our car broke, like the engine blew up, like ear something, one of the ear words, like totally fucking imploded. And we lived in some janky little greenhouse that like had a leaky roof and a soggy basement. It was like, it felt precarious.
Yeah.
Because in that scenario, as a sort of young husband, young father too, I really felt the responsibility to like take care of it all as well. So
Understandably.
Yeah. And then the last one that I would share is more recently, maybe 5 years ago or something. My current business was really in this like mass growth phase, but I didn't have a team yet. It was basically like me and this one other woman. And then my wife, Jenna, sort of helped out a little bit behind the scenes, but wasn't really a major participant. And same thing, we had been traveling full time in the Earth Roamer, and then we were selling that and moved into a house. We started running this micro hotel. So it was like, I was working 60 hours a week. I was doing like 6 coaching calls a day, every day by myself, and running this micro hotel with my wife and 2 kids at the time, and trying to get them into school, living in Mexico in another country in another language, and trying to legally be here doing that. I absolutely burnt out, like completely imploded and went into depression, like couldn't get out of bed sort of thing. And at the same time, I had to like drag my ass up to keep things going, because it was like everything would crash down if,
I remember that.
it wouldn't.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean,
And have
something
you felt
that I relate to a
Sorry.
lot.
Yeah. Sorry, just talked over you, Josh. Say it again.
Oh, it's just something I relate to a lot. I struggle with it even to this day, but I'm more aware of it now. So how I deal with it's different.
Do you find it in, so those are some great examples when life is really piled up with legitimate, multiple big adversities on you. What about day to day? Like, do you find yourself in a similar pattern sometimes where you just feel defeated by setbacks and roadblocks you run into and stuff like that? I definitely do.
Yeah. Actually, in a roundabout way, a friend of mine, Corey, was visiting maybe 8 months ago, and he paid me a compliment, and it's one of the nicest compliments I've ever fucking had. It really caught me by surprise, because I had this day. I had to go to the dentist because I was having like severe nerve pain, like so bad it was going into my eye, sort of thing, from a dental job that I had done where a nerve got all fucked up. My motorcycle, I didn't realize had a gas leak. So then like on the drive there, I ran out of gas, and then the bus didn't come at the bus stop. I had to like leave it on the side of the road, go to do this thing. Then something else happened. Like someone at work fucking quit on me, and I had to like take an emergency call, like as I'm in the bus trying to go to the, like just everything that could have gone wrong went wrong. And at the end of the day, he just said, he's like, hey, like, I really have a lot of respect for you, because what I saw was someone dealing with every possible shit outcome, and you just kept moving forward, stayed calm, whatever. And like younger me would have freaked the fuck out, like imploded on that. So that was a huge compliment, but it made me take stock of what you're talking about, Sean. The day to day, when you run a business and have got 3 kids at home or whatever, like, dude, it's not even day to day. It's like from wake up until the kids go to school is a bracket. Then I start work till noon is a bracket. Then there's like the afternoon slump bracket. Then there's like after school. Then there's events at night. Then there's getting to bed. Like at any one of those moments, it can feel like everything fucking sucks. Just everything goes wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And my personal proclivity is to be extreme and to apply 1 or 2 cascading events into like my entire life is terrible.
Yeah. Me too.
So I have to be very careful of that.
Yeah, I think that's a common one, the catastrophization, or the taking it personally and having a bit of a self-worth spiral around it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like that's a normal thing. Yeah, that makes sense. You want to hear the day I had yesterday?
Yeah, I do.
So I wake up, I go for a surf, which is kind of like our jogging out here. So I know people won't have a lot of empathy for me around this, but I go out, terrible session, just like a lot of work, a lot of current, a lot of dock diving, no waves. So I spend 2 hours out there getting 0 waves. Come back in, which has been a bit of a pattern lately. Sometimes I get in rhythms like that, so I'm feeling apathetic about that. Come back home, see some unfortunate business news, which is constant, right? I mean, being an entrepreneur, you're always hearing about only the negatives for the most part. And so my email marketing guy is like, hey, we're getting really high spam complaint rates on your first 2 emails you send out. Not in the newsletter, not on some of the other stuff you send out, but on the autoresponder messages. And I've never seen that before. In fact, I've never found any case studies. I can't find anybody asking about that scenario on Reddit. So like, I have no idea what to do here. So big black box there, you know? That I don't know who to ask about that. And then, I'm trying to flail against that and some other issues we have in the business, primarily at this point financially, because we've been building an app for our community and it's gone quite a bit over budget. And so financially things are tight. I'm feeling stressful about that because we've been taking on a bit of debt, which isn't unusual for a small business. And it's done really well for a number of years now. But this past year has been quite humbling. And so trying to figure that out. I have a guy over to clean my ducks in my house because we live in a place out on the west coast of Canada where it's very humid. And so you want to get your ducks, like your air vents, cleaned. And he opens up our air system and he's like, dude, you have a ton of black mold in there. And I go look, and sure enough, the whole thing's covered with black mold. Now, we bought this house 2 years ago, and nobody told me that I had to get that thing serviced, that air system. And I think that's naive. I should have known that. I should have looked it up. So because I had issues with mold poisoning in the past from living in an apartment with mold, I spiral. Like I go into panic. I go into feeling stuck. And I also feel really low about myself because I'm like, I should have been on this. Like I've been so good about the house care stuff. I was up on the roof the other day, putting up snow guards. I was fixing some wood, staining this, staining that. I've been organizing stuff, like really been keeping on it. And then I realized that I've been feeding my entire family black mold air for the last 2 years. I'm like, fuck, And so I get down there and I'm like, I got to stop this from being bad. So I get in there and start cleaning up. Later at night, I actually regret that because I've got issues with black mold. I'm like, that's stupid. I probably just should have paid somebody. Since I'm going to have to get somebody in anyways, the problem's so bad. It's spread through all these pipes and stuff. And then I come upstairs. I decide to make myself a healthy meal because my thing is always eating junk food when I'm sad, and I'm trying to change that. And so I make this food and this steak and rice meal, and I put some Asian seasoning on that my buddy dropped off. He's a chef. I didn't look at the package. Apparently it's got raw shrimp in it. You're supposed to cook it. So I eat this thing, and within 2 hours, I'm in the bathroom just throwing up till like 2 a.m. And Katie has a huge day. She's a nurse, so she's got to wake up at some ungodly hour. So she's already asleep. Like there's nobody I can call at that hour. And I just felt so low. I just felt like giving up. I'm like, what's the point of all this? Like, I've been trying so hard already. Been trying so hard to do all these things, and it's like, I'm going backwards. So, yeah, just that hopelessness is, something I run into. It seems like once a week I have a day like that where it's just like out there swinging and just get a few setbacks, and then I just want to hide. And some days I do, and some days I don't. It's probably like 50-50 in these days where like I'll just, get into some avoidance mechanisms. And we'd love to touch on that too, Josh? Like how we deal with that sometimes. I think it's because we want to normalize it. We want to let guys know that it's guys. A lot of guys do this stuff. Yep. So, what are some examples for you of when you feel that overwhelm? Like, what are your go-tos?
Hey, I wanna jump in on another story though, because you just
great, awesome,
made me think of it.
Please.
There's those days where I like the wording, like you just want to give up, where you're just like, what the fuck are we doing here? Like, why is everything against me?
I'm doing this wrong.
I'm doing everything wrong.
Yeah.
This was a couple of years back. It was Father's Day, and so it's Father's Day, and it's hot, and I'm bothered. And the day before, my daughter had thrown the remote control of the TV at my son. He ducked, it hit the TV and broke the TV. And like, it was the first TV we've ever bought ever, and it's like $1,000 or something. I was like, fuck. So the TV's smashed. We can't watch TV. I just want to kind of like have a chill day with the family is the plan. I'm like, fuck it. Let's go to the movies. So I load the kids, 3 of them, into the car. Jenna's staying at home. I'm like, we're going to go to the movie theater. We're going to go to the nice VIP movie theater, whatever. It'll be awesome. We drive all the way to Puerto Vallarta. Well, traffic's terrible and the AC breaks. So we're sweating in traffic. We get to the movie theater. We somehow make it on time for one of the movies. But then my youngest, Falcon, we don't realize is too young to go in the movie theater. Like in Mexico, sometimes it feels like there are no rules.
Yeah, there's no rules.
When there is a rule that's enforced, it kind of pisses you off. You're like, the fuck? So this is one of the things, is that if the kid's too little to go into the nice movie theater, they won't let them in because they're like, it's bad for their ears or whatever. So they won't let us, and Jenna's not with me. So there's no option. Like, we can't go into the movie theater. So I'm like, okay, it's in this mall. So I'm like, we'll go shopping. So Lux, my daughter, she wants this doll. And I'm like, hell yeah, it makes me happy to see you happy with the toy with this. So we buy this doll, and then we're going down the escalators back to the truck. I'm thinking we're done for the moment. And I go on the escalator first, and then she goes to step on the escalator and goes, oh no, I'm scared. And I turn and I look back, and she's like shaking at the top of the escalator. I think she's about to fall. So I run up the escalator.
Mm-hmm.
And you know how it has the sign, don't go up the escalator?
Yeah.
Well, that's for a reason, because I get to her. She doesn't fall. I fall, smash all my shit on the escalator, which are sharp, cut my elbows, all my knuckles, my knees. I'm bleeding everywhere. So now I'm laying on the ground at the top of this escalator, blood all over the place in this mall. And also, this is a fun thing here, is like, there's this general, like, you do you attitude that exists here that can be positive. This is a case where, like, there's 1,000 people walking by and they're all just looking at me like, what's this idiot doing?
Yeah. City vibes.
Oh, and I'm like carrying her doll with me. So I'm like laying on the ground holding a baby doll bleeding.
In the middle of a mall. Being slowly pushed down this escalator for everybody to see.
Right. So then I'm like, okay, whatever. We go to a pharmacy. I get bandaged up. And we get to the truck. And previously thinking that we're going to be like 3 hours in the movie theater, I ask the guys to clean the truck. And they're like, yeah, and we'll polish the light or whatever that isn't there. And I make the mistake of not confirming the price before we start. And you can get your truck cleaned here for like 150 pesos, 200 pesos, like in and out, good cleaning
$7.
job.
Yeah.
Yeah. These guys are like, it's 3,500 pesos. And I'm like, no, it's not. That's not the price of what this is. And then there's like a gang of them in the car park, right? So they all like circle around. So now I'm standing there bleeding, holding a doll with the kids, arguing with these guys who are like trying to be intimidating now. And they're not even done cleaning the truck, by the way, because we're that long. I pay them, we leave, and I'm like, fuck this. I'm going to go buy a new TV right now. And we're going to go home and we're going to watch a movie. And it's going to be awesome. Like, I'm deciding that this is happening.
Yeah.
So we go to the other mall. We buy a TV. We get it in the truck. We go to drive home. We're low on gas. I'm pulling into this gas station and we run out of gas on the uphill going in.
Get out of
so
here.
Now I'm I swear to God. So now I'm pushing the truck, trying to get it the last 100 feet to the fucking gas pump. Like, with bleeding knees still.
Oh, wow.
We finally get it there. Lux has to go to the bathroom. I take her into the bathroom. We go to leave the bathroom. There's no one there. So we just walk in and use the bathroom. Then as we're in there, we go to leave. And this guy blocks us from leaving and says, you have to pay me whatever, 50 pesos for using the bathroom. Like, it's 5 pesos. It's not 50. And I don't have any money. It's all in the truck over there. And he's like, no, he doesn't understand. I don't know. He doesn't understand my accent or something. And he starts arguing with me to the point that I'm like, look, motherfucker, like, you are not holding my daughter and I in this bathroom. I will move you out of the way at this point.
Yeah.
So he finally lets us go. We drive all the way home. I'm taking the TV out of the box. My littlest one runs underneath me and I go like this. And in doing so, I literally like grip like this and I hear,
no.
And I'm like, no. It's fine. We set the TV up. Popcorn's made. We all fucking sit down, turn it on. Whole screen smash. Completely.
That kills me. No way.
I screamed at the top of my lungs. I went to the bedroom. I'm like, I need a minute. Shut the door. And I just lost it. Because like, I'm like, you've got to be fucking kidding me.
Complete
Happy
mental
Father's
breakdown.
Day. Yeah, complete mental breakdown.
Happy Father's Day.
Smash my body and throw $1,000 down the toilet and almost get in 2 fights with random people. Like,
the TV thing at the end of it's the best, just to cap it all off, just to bring it full circle of life.
Yeah.
Dave days.
I actually had the thought, like, I should go out to the bar and just get in a fight at this point. I didn't, and not that I wanted to get in a fight, but I had the thought, like, if I was to go out, that's what would happen. Like, someone would punch me in the mouth or something. Like, something would happen. Like, it was like, I'm literally just staying in bed for the rest of the evening out of the safety of like how fucked up this whole thing.
Yeah, and that's a good move because I feel that too, man. When shit goes sideways, something like that, there's some rage there for me. Like, for me, it's always like, why does this have to be so hard? Like, I'm already trying to do a hard thing, and then something happens that makes it way more hard. You know, I don't know. There's always a lot of anger there for me around that. Often I feel that, but I shut it down, and I will get into. And thanks for sharing that story, by the way. That makes my day yesterday feel better. I was feeling very low waking up this morning about all that. waking up at like 10:30 in the morning like a degenerate, only because I was up throwing up until like 2 a.m. and doing mold remediation until midnight. But yeah, the anger thing's interesting. We'll touch on that in a minute. For me, it's usually more of a shutdown. Like usually I end up wanting to be like kind of feeling hopeless and overwhelmed, and then ending up like shutting out the world with YouTube, Netflix, rotting on the couch, doom scrolling, impulsively shopping, occasionally porn, weed, any vice I can get my hands on at that point. And then it gets also into like avoidance of intimacy and getting obsessive with other things like hobbies as a distraction, manically trying to fix certain things that are going wrong, but like I've got the wrong energetic approach, like kind of superhuman complex. You know what I mean? Do you do something similar like that, like a shutdown?
Absolutely. I think escapism and shutdown are probably at this point feel like number one, number two, or that's number one, and then number two is like the cheap fast dopamine. It's the doom scrolling, the like
junk
I'm
food.
just gonna junk food, whatever. If I let myself, it'll go there right away.
Yeah.
And then not currently, but in the past, and I wouldn't have identified this honestly. In the last year, I've learned so much more about the details of addiction and stuff too, and how it relates to all of this. But in the past too, I totally accepted. I was like, oh, I'm going to escape by I'm going to get drunk. I'm going to call my buddy and do some mushrooms or whatever. So that in the most extreme, could be like that too.
Yeah.
And certainly the isolating part, I think for me, the cycle is distraction, isolation, shutdown, depression. That's the path that could, if I let it go.
And then it just kind of loops back on a few of those. It's like you do more of the dopamine seeking things, and then you feel worse, and then you isolate more and you feel more depressed, and then you do more of the dopamine hits. Yeah. Just like,
and I would comment on the anger part related to this too, that to me, anger's this thing that comes up, but I can't remember what it's called. There's this wheel that shows how certain emotions relate to a more core emotion, and anger sort of relates down to something more in the vicinity of sadness, which really makes a lot of sense in my mind. So in this sort of scenario, that's to me an indicator. If I'm suddenly just really angry, over disproportionately angry over things, that's actually an indicator for me that I'm I must be feeling really something else. What's going on? Oh, I'm overwhelmed, and now I'm spiraling like that, and that's just coming out first before the shutdown part.
Yeah, that's interesting, and I'm happy you brought that up, Josh, because what I've learned from my own therapy and just from men's groups and over at mensgroup.com is exactly that. The feelings wheel, that's the thing you're talking about. Just Google feelings wheel for any guys who are trying to build their emotional intelligence or understand what they're feeling. Guys have trouble articulating what they're feeling. Guys, actually, a lot of guys think that they have two emotions, happy and angry. Isn't that wild? That's what most guys think they have. What the research shows is that anger actually for a lot of men sits as a cap over top of sadness. So you have a layer of anger that's kind of hiding the sadness. It comes out as anger because that was accepted as kids. But usually if I actually go out and hit the punching bag and express the anger, I'll actually then there'll be tears behind it, so this is the feelings wheel. You got it. And so a lot of guys will say, I'm angry, but it's well, are you distant angry? Are you bitter? Do you feel let down, which kind of has a hurt sadness component to it, You can keep going out in the wheel to more specifics. Are you morose? Are you sorrowful? Are you regretful? Really useful tool. But yeah, for me anyway, to your point, Josh, it's there's always sadness behind that anger. So if I express that anger in the moment, often there'll be sadness right behind it. And I think that's what we're really feeling. Because it's not fun. It's not fun. It's not fun. Think about that little boy inside. He doesn't want to be doing work for 12 hours a day, this task, that task, rejection, not going well, setbacks. You just feel like you're not progressing. Nobody's there for you. Sad situation,
Yeah, I think the other ways that this shows up or has shown up for me, but I've seen and discussed with friends, and I've talked about this too, is, it's like hyper procrastination, or conversely, it's like perfectionism. It's about taking control. Are the ways that this happens? Like suddenly I need to control everything. Like fuck everyone. Everyone's working and everything's working against me, so I'm going to retain control of all of it, and I will just deal with it all. I've actually said that out loud when I'm pissed off. I'm like, I'm just taking it all. Like, I'll handle it all, you know?
Yep.
I'll do it myself.
Me against the world.
I think those are also, so it's like, which is actually really funny if I think about it objectively, where it's like, I'm feeling overwhelmed because I'm under a pile of shit and just things are not going my way. And my solution is take on more. That is, logically, that's dumb.
You're already fried emotionally. You're already exhausted. No, don't take on more. But that's the fight response, right? So typically when people go through difficult times, and especially if it reminds you of traumatic events from your past, which is what we'll touch on later, because I think this is where a lot of this comes from me, is like dad stuff and also just adversities I've been through that were painful. And so, you get frustrated when you encounter stuff that makes you feel like that again. And I forgot my point, Josh. What were we talking about? What did you just say?
We were talking about the taking control and like taking on more when we're overwhelmed.
That's right. Thank you. So a lot of guys will end up responding in one of three ways, right? Fight, flight, or freeze, right? I'm sure you've heard that. So like, you're talking about the fight response there, which is I'm going to do everything. I'm just going to take care of it and fight my way out of this. The YouTube and the couch rod is more like flight and freeze. Flight being I'm not going to look at this. Freeze being I'm just going to numb myself out. And I seem to have 80% of the fight or flight and freeze, and then 20% of the fight, which sounds like it'd be a good thing, but it's done too manically. Like for me, there's a real manic energy behind it of like, I need to do all the things like today, and I just don't eat and I don't sleep very well, and I get in these phases sometimes where I'm like getting a lot done, but my self-care is going, my energy levels are going down, and my enjoyment's going down, and my patience with people around me is going down, and I'm irritable, and I'm on a track for a burnout. So none of those options really are the answer, are they?
No, I was, to spin off what you're saying, I think about like, I've been reading a lot in the last couple of years and studying for myself polyvagal theory, which I think is just another way to describe what we're talking about. There's different modalities, but it's the idea that like from the central vagal system of the body, if you are in a good place of balance, you are calm, you feel connected to yourself and other people. There's a sense of being settled, both physically and mental, emotionally. It's like a groundedness, they describe it as. And the other ways that comes up is that you tend to have an openness and a curiosity about things in general, which means you could interpret that as like you're more flexible about things, and also you're more compassionate. Whereas then when you escalate up, when you're out of balance, you first end up more in you get hyper aroused into the sympathetic nervous system. That's the fight or flight. The sympathetic is action. The internal dialogue is I can take this over. I can do this. I'll do that. But it's coming from rage, irritation, fear, anger, but then also it's like has, to your point of like it being manic, that comes from like from manic, from like a panicked or anxious place, not a place of groundedness. And then what I learned for myself, because I was here, was then it escalates further and you go outside into they call it the dorsal vagal. Dorsal vagal? Yeah, the dorsal vagal. And that's the full freeze. It's like collapse. That's where you go into shutdown mode, and you go from I can to I can't. And you can oscillate between those two quite a bit, because one produces the other. But that's where it's like depression, dissociation, numbness, apathy. But the big one for me that I think a lot of guys probably relate to is when it goes that far, shame comes up.
So true.
And to me, that was a really big piece of this puzzle, because I was shameful about my shame. Like,
Yeah.
younger me would have been
Yeah.
like, shame isn't an emotion,
Yeah.
because I heard that somewhere once, which is horseshit.
Yeah.
But I couldn't even like identify that I was feeling shameful, sort of thing. So then you just spiral in there, and that's tough. When you're in that place, every time you look up, when you're in freeze, dissociation, every time you look up, all you see is this pile of shit that's on top of you. And so
Yeah.
it's like literally pushing you down and holding you there. It's really tough. It's a really tough place to be. And I don't think guys talk about this to each other enough. And
No.
I definitely don't. They don't talk about it, definitely not to their wives.
No.
You know, that's not common. It's
No.
the tricky place.
Yeah, I can relate to that very much, Josh. Thanks for sharing. I get stuck in sympathetic nervous system dominance again, which just feels like being hypervigilant. It's like I'm numbed out. Sometimes I'm numbed out and dissociating and avoiding, but then I'm still kind of like wired. Like I can't rest, you know? Like I'll lay down, take a nap, but I can't go to sleep. I'll go for a walk, and I don't feel like I'm enjoying it. You know, I don't notice the birds chirping in the trees. I'm just looking out for the next dangerous thing coming around the corner, you know, the next tiger that's lurking into the next bushes. And so that's a real thing for me that I constantly try to deal with through meditation and, I don't know, exercise and stuff like that. But then the shame especially has been a thing for me. Like when things pile up like that, that's the thing that's most debilitating, is the shame spiral. So it goes from like, oh, I'm upset about these things, to like, I'm not good enough, I can't do this, to your point, she said earlier. And I just feeling really low about myself across the board. Like I start to pick myself apart in other areas of life that are going well. And it's a pretty low place to end up in.
I was just thinking, Sean, about this too, that a weird way that this has shown up for me, and I didn't know what this was. And I think it's why talking about it is so important, because then you can identify when you fall into these things, you can see the indicators. This is also a symptom of ADD and ADHD. I've learned it's called revenge bedtime procrastination.
Oh, I have that. Yeah, I've heard of it called bedtime rebellion.
Yeah. And so like this is, for me, for me personally, it's been one of the first indicators. It's like, I'll work all day and have that sense of like, I've got all these things to do and I didn't really get anything done. And then things kind of go sideways. And then I got a battle with one of the kids at bedtime or whatever else. And then like, I'm fucking tired. You know, It's 10 o'clock at night. I'm tired. My wife falls asleep. So sexy time's off the table. And I'm laying there and I'm tired. And I'm like, fucking, I should go to sleep right now. And I have that thought. And then instead, it ends up being 1 a.m.
I do the same
I'm not
thing.
I'm not even watching anything good. It's some dumb shit on YouTube or something.
Yeah,
you know?
Same. Dude, I'm the exact same. I've never really talked to anybody about this, so this is really nice. But I have that pretty hard. This weird, like, Kitty will go to bed at a reasonable hour, like 10 or 10:30, because we have a big day tomorrow. I'll have plans to surf at 6 a.m. the next morning, and yet I'll check that out from that, and I'll just want to veg there in front of the TV watching fucking anything. Like dumb shit, you know, dumb shit, war documentaries, like stuff that you shouldn't be watching before bed, you know. And it's just like, what is that? I think, and for me, the farthest down I've gone with it is just rebellion. Like I didn't have any fun today. I didn't let myself have any fun. This is me getting to enjoy at least a moment of my day, and it's almost like a rebellion to the structure. Like fuck you,
it's the revenge.
Do what I want. It is revenge. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, and here's the other reason why I think it's such an important thing to note for yourself if you find yourself in this cycle, because then you're like, okay, I got to get up and go to work at 6 a.m, or I'm going to go surfing at 6 a.m. For some people, as you know, depending on what's happening in your life, you're like, fuck it, I'm just going to sacrifice going surfing. So then you don't go get your workout in, you don't get to be out in the water, that you don't get charged up that way. But if it's me, I've generally calibrated into like this. There's this thought that I learned from my grandpa from drinking, because I the first time I ever got really drunk, I was maybe 13 or something like that. And he gave me a card and had this funny message in it that said, if you're man enough to drink, you're man enough to get up and go to work in the morning. And then my dad got me up the next day and made me chop firewood for the whole day. And that was the lesson. But by extension, I've had that thought my whole life around a lot of these other things where I'm like, well, if I'm man enough to stay up to 1 a.m. fucking around watching YouTube, I'm getting up at 6 anyways, you know? But then you're tired and that fucks the rest of your day. And then the next night becomes the same thing. And it's like this, you just stay in that cycle of revenge, bedtime procrastination, and then you exhaust yourself. And like, it can go sideways quickly from a seeming, you know, small choice of just watching more TV at night.
Dude, it's so interesting hearing somebody else describe and doing this thing that I've been like too embarrassed to admit that I do, you know? But I have the sense from just hearing stories from the guys that a lot of other guys do this too, you know? A lot of guys end up in this bedtime rebellion, watching dumb shit on YouTube or like shopping online or porn or whatever. Just trying to like, yeah, have some sort of soothing from a tough day, you know? Same reason why guys like having drinks after work, I guess.
Yeah.
And dude, for me, it's like sometimes on a weekly basis. Like I'll have a good week where I like am able to take care of myself relatively well. And then the next week I'll get into that routine where it's like I'll have a tougher day or something uncomfortable will happen. And because I don't know what to do with those feelings, I'll just stay up late and then I feel worse the next day. And then I continue the staying up late thing. And then I start eating junk food to like numb that. And then the junk food's a slippery slope. So I'll start with something fairly benign, like some healthy dark chocolate or something with Katie over dinner. And then, 3 days later, it's like pizza and ice cream and I'm watching Netflix in the middle of the day and dodging meetings and stuff, you know? It's like that's kind of embarrassing to admit, but it's like, that is the reality for me of dealing with this stuff.
Yeah. I think it's a reality for a lot of people. And there's, my experience has been that there are multiple facets to how you end up here and why this happens. Maybe before we jump there were some stats that I pulled up on this if you're interested, Sean.
Yeah, sure. Well, you're looking up the stats. One other thing that I'd like to mention is grass is greener. So I noticed that when I'm in these states, I'm always like, oh, what I need to do is start a new business, or what I need to do is like, I know you can relate to this one. That's part of the reason why I'm bringing it up. Like, oh, maybe I shouldn't be living in this town, or maybe I should be doing this differently. And when you're down and out, that's not time to be making big life decisions. But I have done that before and like blown up parts of my life, making decisions from that lower place. And it really is grass is greener kind of thinking. It's like, I'm still the problem. It doesn't matter what I'm doing for work or, yeah. It's like the way I'm processing my feelings is the thing I need to work on. Not like changing my work overnight, but
yeah. What's the saying? Wherever you go, there you are.
Yeah, totally. That's it.
Right. No, I definitely relate to that. I have that thought often, that impulsive, like my negative ego pipes in and just like, fuck, I'm going to burn it all to the ground and just fucking, and somehow the ego part comes in because like somehow I'm like, that'll fix it because I'll just rise from the ashes like the fucking phoenix.
That's
as
funny,
if that
dude.
proves something. Yeah. When
That's
really
funny.
what I need to prove is deal with my shit.
That's funny. Mine's more subtle. Mine's like, I just feel disinterested in what I've been doing, like my work or whatever, and luckily this hasn't popped up in my relationship as much, but like, I see it in work, I see it in activities, I see it in like daily routines and stuff. And I'll just like have like an apathy towards it. And like, I don't even want to look at it. And then I start having these fantasies about the new thing. Like, ooh, that'd be nice. It's like I start fantasizing about how great it'd be to do. So right now I'm doing computer work, for example, and sometimes I fantasize about like driving a whale watching boat or landscaping or starting a business that like, of leading surf camps. That's the latest one. I'm like, oh, if I start an Instagram thing and that, because nobody's doing that out here, I could do surf camps for guys who want to progress, and that'd be sweet because then I'd be moving my body more and I'd be talking about, it wouldn't be as heavy as men's groups. But obviously that's not the right move right now. It's not the right time, but like that's so compelling in those moments when I'm feeling low.
Yep. Um, yeah, absolutely. Sometimes it's the most ridiculous shit too. Like, I have this fantasy when it comes to business, especially, of imploding everything and going to work a 9 to 5, 35-hour a week.
Oh, yeah.
Just mundane as fuck.
Shut it off.
Job,
As you walk out the
shut it
door.
off, and then like walk out the door and be like,
Yeah.
I don't give a shit. See you Monday. In my mind is like, that sounds amazing.
Right
and
on.
then I immediately go, wait a minute. Like, I've worked my whole life to avoid ever having to do that because my soul dies in that scenario. The times I've ever done it, like, that's not who I am. And I know that, but still my brain's like, this is what we should do.
Same. Yeah. Or those guys that can just like,
Uh-huh.
they don't need to do meaningful work, you know, or people that can just like sell widgets on Amazon, like steel widgets or like LED lights or like just meaningless stuff just to make a buck. I'm like, oh, you know, that'd be easier. That'd be way easier than doing these meaningful communities that we've been doing, you know? Oh, maybe I should do that. Maybe I should sell insurance. No offense to anybody who's selling insurance, but just like, I've never been wired that way. But hey, boring and simple.
I know 2 or 3 guys who sell insurance or who are insurance adjusters or like you're in the insurance industry. And that is a perfect example of them. Like, this sounds like an amazing job.
Yeah.
But then I hear them talk about the details of what they're doing. And I'm just like, this is fucked up. Like,
that's not what I
them,
want to be doing.
the industry. Like, that's not me, you know.
No.
Anyways.
Well,
Well,
just
look,
to summarize this while you're looking up the stats. So, like, what's actually happening is escapism and shutting down, cheap, fast dopamine hits, suppressing our emotions, impulsivity, sympathetic nervous system dominance, rumination, isolation, so often isolating between freeze and manic fight energy, and which is honestly tough on our relationships. It's tough on our health. It's tough on our work and holds us back from what we actually want in the first place. I'd love to hear some stats around this, just to let guys know that it's not just us.
yeah. Well, I think that this conversation is starting. What I just looked up, there's a Deloitte survey. It says 77% of people have experienced burnout at their current job.
Yeah.
Men slightly higher levels of stress than women in that.
Yeah.
76% of full-time employees experience burnout sometimes, but 28 to 30% report feeling burnt out often or always.
Sounds about right.
Like 30% always feeling burnt out. That's significant.
It is. Wow.
Related to this, mental health impacts. Burnt out men, 40%, hesitate to seek help for mental health issues, which then exasperates the burnout because the stress accumulates even more. And then this one I thought was really interesting. Studies have shown that men experiencing prolonged burnout are at higher risk for cardiovascular issues. Men who experience work-related stress show a 34% higher risk of developing heart disease. I just think about, as an entrepreneur, spending time like getting up in the morning and get your workout in and eat healthy and whatever, but then you still increase your risk of all the things you're trying to not have happen to you, heart disease, just by being stressed about being at work or stressed to like stick into that routine.
Totally.
Or whatever. Yeah.
And what's funny is those routines can cause stress too, because you can be hard on yourself. And
right.
That's how it works for me.
Yeah. And then relationship strain. 36% of men report that work stress negatively impacts their relationship. I actually can't believe how low that is.
Yeah, a lot of stuff is
expect it to be higher.
underreported, right? Because guys don't even know they have the problem.
Yeah. 44% of men report coping with burnout by withdrawing from social interactions or activities that they once enjoyed and feeling a sense of isolation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, social isolation and substance abuse. Loneliness and substance abuse, often associated with hopelessness, are more prevalent in men. This sounds way too low. Around 10% of the men in the U.S. have experienced substance use disorder in the past year, which may be an attempt to cope with underlying feelings of despair, social disconnection, and hopelessness. I think that from the men that I know, and I know a pretty wide variety of men through men's group, but also through the different circles I've explored and lifestyles, I think that social isolation and substance abuse is like 80 or 90% of men.
I was going to say, I think it's an inverse of what that of 10%.
Yeah, yeah, totally.
I don't here. You know what it is? There's a reporting element. There's a who's the test group for the study, blah blah blah. But I think it's probably also admission, because I think this is another thing that guys don't do is like admit to themselves, let alone someone else. When I went through like an actual serious clinical depressive episode, I didn't know that I was in it until afterwards. Like I was fucked. And it wasn't until afterwards that a therapist I was working with was like, Josh, you were depressed, like clinically depressed by every definition. And I was like, well, I guess I was, like, so if you had asked me at that time, like, have you experienced depression from your work? I'd have been like, nah, work's stressful. Meanwhile, like, can't get out of bed. You know what I'm saying?
Totally.
So I think that there's an embarrassment and a pride that's not just men, that all people have, but that I see in men that I know that stop them from reporting this. To further this point, Sean, too, like where I live, as I know you've been here too, like this is quite a party town.
Yes.
And the number of people that I see that like, I don't know the inner workings of their minds, but like you can see it, like they're just, the only thing that they have is like, how quickly can I get to a beer? How quickly can I, and I'm just talking about like alcoholism. I'm talking about the escapism associated with that. Whatever it is, you're like, hey, do you want to go fishing? Do you want to go for a run? Let's go hiking. Nah. But do you want to go get hammered on the beach or go out to this bar or whatever else? Yes.
Dude, I've noticed it here too. I'll ask guys to go out for like, oh, let's go for fire. Let's go walk the dogs or whatever. And they'll say no. But then I'll be like, you want to go for a beer? And they're like, yeah.
Right.
Because they want to see.
They need it. Yeah. Right. And I've been guilty of that too. That's the soothing.
So
I like that word. That's the escapism part of it. It's like, sure, I'll do that because at least it's guaranteed that I get to change my chemistry.
Totally. Couple more stats here. 60% of working men say they feel stressed daily, often due to long hours and performance expectations. This then leads to increased exhaustion, burnout, and decrease in personal life satisfaction, especially in their intimate relationships. Here's an interesting one. Financial stress is a top factor in causing overwhelm for men. A survey by Northwestern Mutual Fund, of all people, found that 67% of men cite finances as their primary source of stress, which is interesting because to me that I feel that, but I'd say that there's other things in my life that are a bigger deal, but finances seem to get like create a different kind of stress, Traditional gender expectations lead to emotional overload. Many men feel pressured to be the primary providers or display strength. We all know this. Leaving them without healthy coping mechanisms. The American Psychological Association states that over 30% of men report feeling stressed by this masculine role expectation, which leads to exhaustion and low mental health and shutdowns. Well, last one, balancing family time and personal time. This is one that comes up a lot in men's group. A report from the Pew Research Center shows that 50% of men feel stressed balancing family responsibilities with personal time. Maybe that's what we should call our podcast, by the way, a research center. Just sounds more important that way. You and me just bullshitting and pulling up stats.
Yeah.
Yeah. 50% of men feel stressed balancing family responsibilities with personal time, especially for men in dual income families, balancing childcare, household responsibilities, and career demands. Often leads to burnout, frustration, and is a downplayed factor in men's low mental health. Everything we're saying,
yeah,
basically.
I could see it.
Yeah.
I think the financial strain and the gender role and the balancing work-life balance, work-family balance specifically, those are all they're very closely connected. Because like I have experienced even that and do believe that money doesn't buy you happiness.
No.
I think that there's truth in that statement. Now, what money can do is be a utility for you to do, to create more comfort and security, and that can help you with your happiness for sure. So I do think that it's still part of that. But despite me knowing that, like, if I had a whole bunch more money that I already, because first off, I'm not like rich, but on the world level, I'm very aware that I'm fucking fine. But I still have the thought like, oh, if I made 10 million a year, if I had this in the bank or whatever else, like I would be happier, I would be more grounded, or I would feel whatever. I know that it's not that money itself that does that. So then when I, was in hypnotherapy and we're like unpacking this thought process, where I end up at is back at the family. Like, that's about me feeling like I need to provide, I want to create, like, my family didn't have a lot of money growing up or whatever. I'm like, I want my kids to have more than I had, and I want there to be generational level wealth, and I want us to have ownership over things, etc., or to be able to afford certain life experiences. But I also am like, what would I want to do? Like, whatever the number is, 100 million a year. Like, what would I give up to do that? I don't want to give up all of my personal time and all of my family time either. Like, I don't want to make that sacrifice. Like, one, it would be pointless if that was the necessary sacrifice for it. So I'm always negotiating, like, what's the balance of those things?
Totally.
And hence the stress.
That makes sense. And those are all pretty high achieving. You're a high achiever, right, Josh? Like, you have a large family, beautiful family. You built your own house. You've got an entrepreneur that's doing well. You got some big goals there. I've seen in men's group, and also these stats lead to this, that it's these coping mechanisms apply to guys that are not high achievers, guys that are, struggling to do simple things as well. It seems like across the board for men, this is like how we cope. Have you noticed that as well?
Absolutely. I feel like in our last episode, we were talking about, like, if you don't have kids, then people who have one kid kind of talk down at you. And then when you have two kids, you talk down to someone with one kid. And when you have three, you talk down at two, and whatever. But I see that in other ways too. When I look at entrepreneurship and working coaching and stuff too, people are describing this sense of overwhelm and shutdown and everything exactly like we're describing. But it's over from the outside, from my viewpoint, the seemingly smallest pile of, like, basically fucking nothing's wrong.
Yeah.
It's like you're running a profitable business and you only work 30 hours a week and you've got a girlfriend that loves you or whatever else, and then you're talking about going into shutdown because you have to make a presentation. Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah.
But I think it goes back to something you mentioned earlier, that we were saying, like, wherever you go, there you are. It's because this is an internal thing, not an external thing.
Exactly. Yeah, when I was 19, I was running into it with fairly mundane stuff, like, oh, I just got fired from my job, and I think my girlfriend might be cheating on me or whatever, It's like, I don't know, like that. But I was coping in the same ways then that I do now as a 40-year-old with all this other stuff going on. Luckily, it sounds like we've both been learning along the way from it, and we both had natural drive, which we can't even take credit for, and that's why we're a bit more in the high achieving category. But, like, it seems like across the board, also super high achievers, dude. Like, I had guys in my previous men's group that were like, they had multiple businesses that were doing 100 million plus a year, and like they're dealing with the exact same ways,
Yeah.
So
I don't, this isn't across the board true, but I've at least had a few instances where my experience has been, in fact, it's worse. It's like the more money, more problems, like a couple people I know that they've got a lot of wealth and whatever, they are also some of the most stressy people and have shared with me, or I've seen firsthand how much they go into this escapism thing, especially like distraction through extreme adrenaline inducing hobbies, porn, sex,
affairs, a lot of sex
affairs,
addiction,
and then
drugs.
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 Huge,
Drugs being the big
sex
one,
and drugs. Huge. Yeah.
Actually, when I lived down in Mexico, Josh, you know this. I was with a woman. I moved down to Mexico. I met her in Canada. We moved down together. She's managing the Four Seasons Hotel in Punta Mita, which is near where you live. And actually, I'll delete that part. Hold on a second. She was managing a very fancy hotel, like one of the top fancy hotel brands in the world. And so we actually lived in that hotel on the beach for like 3 months. And I don't know if I should share that or not, but I'll edit that out. Anyway, it was fascinating to see these wealthy people that have everything and just like doing the most destructive things. There's one example I can think of, this beautiful family. The guy and the wife were so attractive. They had a beautiful little family. The dad's flying from a meeting on their 747 jet that they own, which is like basically a house. The wife and the kids and the nanny are flying in on another one, and they're staying right on the water. And the wife is so sweet, and the kids are lovely. And the dad's trying to bang the 65-year-old overweight local housekeeper woman while the kids and the wife are at the pool. And he's constantly hassling everybody for drugs. You know, he's like, this guy is just spinning out because he has so much money. He seems to be able to maintain things. But I saw a lot of that there. A lot of really dysfunctional people that have a lot of money. And then the exception to the rule, really the rarity, was like the grounded families that had that kind of money. We met a few that were like that. Actually, Bill Gates was like that. He was actually a pretty normal dude. In my interactions with him, and my ex who managed his stay there, so she was interacting with him all the time. Pretty normal family. But those are the exception. I think most really high achieving men are statistically more likely to be like degenerates in their personal life, basically, to deal with. Because what kind of guy throws his life at making that much kind of money, you know? Because for me, when I made really good money, I'm like, oh, that's nice, but it's not what I thought it'd be. But there's a certain kind of guy who will not learn that lesson and go, oh, but if I had $1 million, then I'll feel better. Oh, but if I had 10 million, then I'll feel better. Oh, if I have 100 million. It's like, you don't learn that lesson at 20 million. You got to go for 500 million. And clearly that's taking a toll. Fascinating.
Yeah. Well, I think that one of the things that was coming up for me as you were describing that is also, and this is somehow is adjacent to the shame element of things. There's no empathy for that guy. And look, this is controversial, I know. But like, it's not to excuse the behavior or to say that those aren't boundaries that are probably crossed, or that the guy's not being a total fucking asshole.
Yeah.
But there's no empathy for it in guy culture. From men, especially not from women. You know, and it's like, so what the thing about that is that then that person is probably even more isolated.
Oh, yeah.
Because until they go find a real confidant, a therapist who can handle it, whatever, like, they got no one.
When and they have more to lose, like that, right? Like playing business at that level, people will take advantage of your weaknesses. Like, you know, this big, like, fortunes can be made on taking down somebody like that, or, you know, getting some of their business going your way. And so, they need to keep it very behind closed doors.
Yeah.
Athletes, celebrities, politicians, it's all the same. When I've been able to have those intimate conversations in men's groups, it's like they're feeling the exact same things, just more pressure, you know. The whole loneliness at the top thing is real. And then at the bottom of the totem pole, I think in societal hierarchies anyways, I think it's the same. I think if you're working at Walmart and taking the bus and struggling to put together, that's just humbling and isolating in a completely different way. It seems like everybody has everything and you can't, and why can't you? And, you know, but
what's the same? Yeah.
Men seem to deal with the same.
The thought, there's this quote or saying or whatever that I've been thinking about a lot recently. The dissatisfaction in your life is directly proportional to the delta between your expectations / desires versus your reality.
Yeah. Gap versus the gain. Yeah.
Yeah.
I see that in my own life. That's a big part of the That's a great point, Josh. That's a big part of and that leads us into like, why do we end up here? Why do guys end up in this? I think that's a good segue. Yeah, I noticed that I do that. I read a very book by Dan Kennedy, who's a great entrepreneurial guy, coach guy, thinker, called The Gap versus the Gain. It talks about this, that a lot of entrepreneurs are guilty of like looking at the gap between where they're at and where they want to be versus the gain they've made, of all the progress they've made, all the things that are going well. And I think guys slip into that in their personal lives as well, hey?
Yeah, absolutely. That's it. This is where it goes back to, the simple, flavor of the week right now. The TikTokification of this is there's a lot of talk about gratitude again. It's not a new concept. It's not a new thing. It's touted, but gratitude journaling and doing daily gratitude and whatever else. But that's what that is talking about. It's what that's solving for is, look at how far you've come and like acceptance of reality and finding the positive things. And that's admittedly very hard because I can't remember the exact number. Maybe it depends on what you read, but we're wired to put weight on something negative, 8, 10, 15, 30 times more than something positive. So you can have 10 good things happen to you and one bad thing, and you'll obsess on the one bad thing.
Yeah. Unless you know how to manage that, right?
Right.
So here's the question. Why do dudes typically end up like this? Because to me, that question that I just asked of why do I obsessively focus around the one thing that's going wrong? I know that is human nature to pay attention to blood. And like, there's good reasons why we have that dramatic attention seeking thing. But for me, it comes down to like my dad and my parents and how they communicated with me about when things didn't go well, when there were setbacks. They were really like anxious and kind of hard on me around that stuff. And so I think even that exacerbated that natural mechanism that we all have for me, where, if I spilled the milk or whatever, it'd be like, oh, Sean, come on, instead of like some understanding. There wasn't a lot of understanding behind them, a lot of disappointment, a lot of disapproval, a lot of shaming. And so when things don't work, I seem to get really hyper-focused on that. And then I catastrophize and then I shut down. How about you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, for me, yes, and
that one hit a little bit. Yeah. Like, damn. Shit.
Right. Well, for me, what I've unpacked through a lot of the work that I've done is I am the oldest of two brothers. My younger brother is on the autistic spectrum, but he wasn't diagnosed till he was 15. So my entire childhood was this discovery process for my parents trying to figure out how to help him, how to get him the actual technical help and support, like even just in school or whatever that he needed, what was kind of going on, And so then I have like baby Josh is lonely. I was, I thought that I was bored in life. I wasn't bored. I was lonely because I was fine. I was happy. Like I did well in school, whatever. So my parents were like, you're good. And kind of inadvertently ignored me, So I translated that early in my life to performance. That like, oh, well, you get attention when you perform. If you get straight A's, people notice. If you win the race, people notice. Or later on, you score the goal. Or when I was a teenager and I couldn't score the goals versus hockey players that are better than me, well, what can I do? I can fight anybody.
Yeah.
So I did that. Like
I
always found the way to get attention, not to necessarily be the center of attention, but like to get that attention.
Yeah, that approval, that validation. Yeah. I've been the same my whole life. I've chased. For me, I should see it showing up more in business and lifestyle. Like I've always chased kind of flashier stuff that I thought would say something about me, whether that was DJing or whether that was building an online music store as my first business. I just wanted to be in the music industry and dealing with record labels and DJs, or moving down to Mexico or doing my first men's group thing that was around adventure trips. I couldn't just be an accountant. I needed my job to say something special about me.
Yeah.
Because of that, and that's not a good thing. Like the results are lovely and I've enjoyed it, but it's driven by anxiety and feeling lack of, not good enough. Needing my job to step before me and say, "Oh, Sean's an interesting person. Oh wow, Sean's doing interesting things." It's not great.
Well, look, and then to relate this to, like, how does a guy end up with this sense of, like, there's a pile on top of me, I'm being buried alive? I think there is a very real practical element of life and different life phases where that will happen, right? But to relate to what both of us are saying, there's also whatever our own internal workings, previous traumas, experiences, whatever, that have built these internal dialogues that we're trying to prove to someone or something or to ourselves. And we either then create a pile, or we accept a pile being dumped on us, or we don't ask for help when there is a legitimate pile that's outside of your control on top of you. Pick one, or it's all of them for the point in time, right? So, I think that it's something that happens. I like to really talk about, like, the practical way it just accidentally happens, but from the emotional internal side, I think that this sense of I'm being buried alive in a roundabout way is something that we create for ourselves. And that's that differential between, like, there's always someone who's got it worser. Like, that's also a weird dude thing, is the big dick competition around this stuff. Like, well, my pile's bigger than my shit pile's bigger than your shit pile.
Oh,
Like,
totally. One upping each other. I agree. This stuff just serves. You're right. So, like, in my case, my father set me up to be a little insecure, and then I tried to prove myself through, like, and that dictated my career choices. It chose the women that I chose to date. It chose, the lifestyle, the places I lived in the world, even the friends that I prioritized. And it's like, it's kind of like humbling and shitty to admit now, but but that anxiety, that insecurity, then you create a shit pile for yourself, because now I'm doing work that I'm not naturally meant for. I'm doing work I think I should be doing, and I'm working more than I probably should have been. I'm working in a different area I should have been. I'm choosing women based on their looks and what it would say about me to be with a woman like that, not based on who's the easiest, the flowiest fit for me, who's going to put my nervous system at ease. So now all of a sudden I'm creating scenarios that are, like, adding to my shit pile, where I'm constantly, I'm making things harder on myself. And then that, of course, leads to the burnout and overwhelm anxiety.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually. I like that relation that, you choose the wrong partner to date temporarily, and that does add to your shit pile, because then, like, there's tension around all these, like,
daily core values bashing against each other, and friction, and then conversations around that, and then conflicts around that, resentment building up over time. That's a real thing.
I think the other area that there is just, like, a practical life truth that you are going to have phases, chapters in your life where there's just a lot of shit to deal with. Parenting's a great example of, like, it's actually my neighbor. He lives across the street. We were friends before we even moved there. They already had a son, then they had their second, and then their third within the same year. They're the Irish twins, like, kind of by accident, by surprise. They didn't think it was possible. So they went
Irish
from...
I never heard that before. As a guy from Ireland. That's fun. Funny, dude.
So they went from 1 to 3 in under 2 years of time. Like, and anyone who's had 3 kids, like, my experience was about 42 minutes after my third was born, my wife and I looked at each other and were like, oh shit, like, we're outnumbered. Like, the decision isn't you grab that one and I'll grab this one. It's like, who's most likely to die first? Go there. And
it's triaging.
And one is triaging, right? Yeah. So, but even beyond that, I think I can speak to it from entrepreneurship as well, that it's like, when you start your own business, you're signing up for things that you have no idea you're signing up for. And even if someone tells you, you don't get it, you don't understand it until you suddenly do, Really simple example would be, I do coaching mostly with businesses who are in service industry, yoga studios, Pilates, but also people who are running wellness centers that are doing certain types of therapy, etc. But it's service-based, membership-based.
Mm.
Those businesses function based off of the employees.
Mm.
The product is the employee. If I'm teaching a yoga class, the class itself is just the class design. Its quality is based off of how good of a teacher I am.
Mm-hmm.
So the teacher is the product. So the thing that like a studio owner doesn't think about is just by opening a yoga studio, you signed yourself up to be like necessarily and have constant staff management, teacher management. Your product development is really
Client
about
management.
developing people,
Yeah.
client management. Like it's a constant onslaught.
Yeah, I imagine. That's like a lot
And
of
it's the
work.
thing,
A lot of businesses.
right? So,
Yeah.
And so, with businesses and a business like yours too, like it's literally the purpose of the business to help guys deal with their shit. So they're coming in with their shit. So like, there's just a lot to deal with, even just energetically. The point being,
I'm constantly
life
getting
phase-
barraged. I'm constantly getting barraged with guys bringing their shit to me, and it's overwhelming. That's like my biggest cause to shut down with men's group is I said I signed up for this to like help guys with their stuff. I didn't realize that I've had about 100 guys plus reaching out to me every week, expecting me to make time to connect with them, and I'm like, holy shit, and that makes me want to hide. To your point, yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And not even like that you're not able to handle it, but just these are the kinds of things that it's inadvertent and then they happen and that's the pile.
It's the
Right.
pile.
So,
Yeah, I think that what's interesting though is for me is like, okay, whether the pile is real or perceived, because it doesn't really matter. You're still going through the shutdown regardless. Because yeah, there are real life piles where you just gotta grit your teeth and like get through it. Like my day yesterday, like a couple different stories you shared, and then there's perceived ones, which are just like how we interpret things around us that could be fairly benign that make us shut down. But it's like what it comes down to me is why this is happening is men were not taught how to cope with stressors. We weren't taught how to self-soothe. So we end up in these like situations where these are fairly benign things that are coming at us, but I honestly don't know how to like put my arm around myself and go, hey, it's going to be okay. Like,
Right.
That's what I want to hear in those moments. And my friends aren't around to tell me. My partner doesn't really understand that's what I need to hear. And so I don't, she's pretty good most of the time, but like, there's no internal dialogue that I was taught because my parents didn't show me how to do it. Or other guys haven't shown me how to do it, which is like being able to go, okay, this thing is bad, but like, you've been in situations like this before. And it's like talking myself back from that emotional cliff, Like, yes, this thing isn't working, but all these other things are still working. It's going to be okay. And kept putting my arm around myself, giving me a hug. It's going to be okay, bud. It's going to be okay. There's been zero for that for me, for my life. And I'm 40 years old. And now I'm starting to do it. I'm noticing a bit of a difference. But I think that's really why guys get into these like cycles of, depression and avoidance and isolation and addictions. That's the real cause that I see. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I think that also one of the things that happens, and I want to come back to your question specifically, but one of the things that I've seen is then when you get into the shame cycle and you get into depression, it's like you get this fog around you and you can't see out of it. And the result is you stop believing that you can get out of it.
Yes.
Like you actually, you start to lose faith in your reality.
Yeah,
That's the
hopelessness.
fucking scary
Yeah.
part.
Yeah,
That's the
hopelessness.
hopelessness.
Yeah.
So I think I don't know, I'm feeling like it's necessary for that to be said. Like when you talk about self-talk, I have to talk to myself saying that, be like, no. Like you're feeling hopeless is not the same as it is hopeless.
Totally. You're not doomed.
Those are not the same thing. I'm feeling like this. It's not actually hopeless. Take stock for a second. So, but the self-talk thing, I think you're right. Men aren't taught how to self-soothe, and it sounds a little airy-fairy out there. And also, to even ask for the type of external soothing from someone else, we don't know how to ask for it either. I've had to learn that, and I've been able to now, and it's been really powerful. My one buddy, he and I talk to each other. We're both entrepreneurs and stuff, and when one of us has a bad day, a bad week, or something else, like we have an ongoing dialogue where I'll just ask him, and we're like, cool. So like, that fucking sucks, dude. Like, that's tough.
Yeah.
Do you just need to like run your mouth on this for a minute, or do you need to bounce in? Like, what do you need to do about this?
Yeah.
And I like force the question, and vice versa. So between us, that works to sort of let us get it out of there. Or this one's for the wives or the girlfriends or whatever out there. I bet you most guys would relate to this. Like, I don't want my wife to be like lovey-dovey and like, you're gonna be okay. Like, that's not what I want from her when I feel like that. I want her to be my cheerleader. I want her to be like, you fucking got it. Like,
like a coach at halftime.
You're gonna I want her to be that, because if it comes from her, I'm just like, okay.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you're right, I do got it. That sort of thing. I want the cheerleader, and
right.
That might not be her natural proclivity. So to even ask for that feels weird.
It does,
but
doesn't it? Yeah.
It can be really powerful.
See, I do feel like I need a bit of that. I do need a bit of it. It's going to be okay. Because my thing is simply catastrophization. It does help when Katie gives me a hug. She's like, hey, it's okay. This thing's working. That thing's working. And then the cheerleader coach for me, afterwards. Yeah. Helpful. Yeah.
To one to the next. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, hey, I wanted to add, Sean. So, the self-talk thing, a thought that I always find interesting.
Can I make one point? Sorry, can I make one point? Just because I feel like we're gonna drift away from this. The women thing. Can I make a point on that? I'll start it here. I'll cut this interruption out, Josh. But can I bring up one point about partners, female partners? And this is like something that I don't know, might be uncomfortable to say, but it's something I notice a lot of the time. Is that I think that, at least as a straight guy who's always dated women, I've noticed that I can have the best partners like Katie. They don't always know how to support us in these moments. They don't always know what to do with the raw emotion from men. And I once dated this woman named Rebecca, who is now a good friend, and she's friends with Katie too. She's a coach. She teaches women how to manage their emotions and, I don't know, be happier and stuff. And like, I remember talking to her one time. She's like, on a podcast, she's like, to be honest, when a man shares his raw emotional experience unfiltered, she's like, even I don't really know what to do with that. Right. And to hear that from her, somebody who's so good at that stuff, who's been so supportive, who's like in that world, to hear that her honestly, admit that she doesn't even know what to do with when a man just vents his feelings to her, like that made me go, oh, okay, this is a fairly normal thing then. This is a lot of guys deal with this, So that's a component too, is like not, like I think when men do open up to their partners, it's often met with like a bit of a deer in the headlights kind of look.
Yep. Well, I would say that this is something that, at least the narrative in our society is that that's atypical. I'm not actually sure that in history this has always been the case, but that like men don't do that. You don't, like, you're the rock.
Yeah,
sort of
you
thing.
can't do that.
And right, that's somehow not as masculine. To the point that it's, you could take that to the extreme and it becomes very sexist actually. But yeah, you're right. We don't know how to ask for it, and there's no conversation on what it looks like. So why would your partner, like, why would a woman know what to do or how to how
not
to do
her
that?
fault. I'm not blaming the women. It's just a weird dynamic.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. But I agree that that's the case, and I think that it must be really scary. Like, if you're the rough and tumble guy, nothing shakes you, whatever else, and then you're breaking down. At that point, it would be like the not knowing what to do. It would be scary. I got a friend who, like, went way down that rabbit hole, became suicidal even. Luckily, came out of it okay, but it almost ended his marriage because his wife was quite cold to the situation. But in her defense, it's like she was exactly what you're describing. She's like, she didn't know what to do. Like, she was totally lost.
Yeah.
Not that she needed to do something. He had to do something, and they needed professional help too. But that was a tension point.
I could see that. Yeah, I could see that. Yeah. I had a friend in a men's group, and this guy's like as woke as it gets. So like, this is not a misogynist thing whatsoever. But I love that this guy shared this because he's such a feminist, honestly. But he said we were talking about giving our partners feedback and sharing emotions. And he said, honestly, guys, I've learned that I can't share the raw, unfiltered, dumpy, rambling, emotional truth. I have to give my wife some kind of like filtered, condensed, like concise truth. Like it's almost like I need to go away to a men's group with the boys or like to therapy, and that's where you go.
Yeah.
And this is happening. This is what I'm feeling. This do that, and then you come back to your partner and you can share 80-70% of that, but it needs to be fairly it needs to be within a container because of this dynamic of the men needing to be the rock, the mountain, and the women being the tornadoes that kind of spin around them. You know?
Yep.
I didn't like hearing that, but it resonated as true for me.
That resonates with me too, and I think that exact narrative gets misused. What I'm seeing right now online is a lot of conversation of, it's typically the more like alpha male online, like you got to be tough, like
Sigma
don't
man,
ever
be on your own.
Don't ever tell your wife that you're hurting, like that message. I think it gets taken to that extreme, and that's fucking stupid.
No.
But I think that's true in that you've got to process it for yourself, and with potentially other men or people who are external from the depth of relationship you have with a partner, with your wife, and then you're not giving them a different version, but the parts that they need are like the distilled elements that are the most important for them to have a deeper understanding of you and how it relates to your relationship together, so that they can be supportive in the way that matters.
Exactly. Yeah. You gotta give them. You gotta present it in a way that they can actually help you.
It's not to say you can never go through the session with your partner or whatever, and everyone's got their own way that there's.
I haven't. I will again. Yeah.
Different ways a relationship works, but
and managing your own expectations as far as how they can show up for you in those moments. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I think one of the things that happens as guys end up feeling buried alive through multiple adversities, and then you end up in more isolation. The last people that you isolate from physically is your family, is your partner. So then inadvertently you end up putting a lot on your partner and having all these expectations that they are somehow supposed to be the support mechanism for you, but they're one person. That's not fair.
No, I'm guilty of that for sure. So many guys are.
Yeah.
Yeah. You want them to be your emotional support. You want them to be your sexy times. You want them to be your logical, bantery friend. You want them to be your sense of humor. It's a lot. It's a lot to put into somebody. Yeah. Yep. So to answer the question of why do dudes typically respond in the ways, it's like how we grew up in our fathers or in our families, basically showing us that it's a lot of people don't know how to be supportive. And thirdly, I think it's because there's just no positive examples. Like every guy I know without fail has some kind of vice they rely on for when they're stressed or when they get bad news or whatever. Like it could be a couple drinks, it could be weed, it could be, and you walk through the world and you don't see this. You see that these squeaky clean looking families from the outside or whatever, but everybody seems to have their own thing. And it's infuriating because Katie doesn't really have that. Katie, my partner, is so well balanced that she doesn't really have any big vices she needs to rely on. She's kind of like goes for a run and then pulls out her journal. I'm like, that's what I should be doing.
Yeah.
But your self-care is infuriating to me. But I think that's a big part of it too. It's like, in the movies, the guys bust out the whiskey glass when they're having a tough conversation in the Mad Men office, or guys go to the strip club together or whatever, go to gamble together. It's like, I noticed that. I notice guys around me, they want to like get together and like do the vice thing together as like an expression of their dissatisfaction with their life, or soothing those feelings.
I think to that point, the subtle detail differential is when the vice is part of escaping versus the vice is the tradition around something more connected with someone else.
Yeah. Good way to put it.
And that can be tricky because it can start as one and end up in the other by accident.
Yeah,
I
pretty
think
easily.
is part of it.
It can also be a tool, right? Like you go for a beer with a guy, there's that weird awkwardness because we don't know how to do this. Like having a beer with a guy, just smooth things out. Sure. I get that. You know, you're at a wedding where you don't know anybody, sure, a couple drinks will make it fun. Yeah, but when it trends into let's just go and get fucked up together.
Yeah.
Because we both need that. Not great.
Yeah, that's a different thing.
But I guess what I was speaking to is more of the examples. There's just no examples of like, can you think of a single healthy example of a guy who like shows you in some sort of media or whatever, or how to like deal with actually internally, personally in those dark moments at home alone, how to like manage those feelings? I can't think of a single one.
Nope. Not a good one anyways.
Yeah.
I think that there's some insinuations. I think that there are some people out there that are coaching towards this sort of stuff, but
Yeah.
no.
In general, there aren't. So there's no example.
In general, no.
Either. Yeah, there's no
There's
example.
no Hollywood. There's no Hollywood example, you know?
So I think that's a big part of why we're here too. Just like, there's no examples. So that's what we're hoping to do.
In fact, I would take it a step further. It romanticizes the opposite.
It romanticizes it. That's true.
James
Makes it
Bond
sexy.
James Bond is sexy and is a killer and whatever else, and he's got a soft side, so good for him, but also like he's fucked up.
Yeah.
He's a drunk.
Yeah, he's
you know?
a weird dude. Yeah. Weird dude, a bit of a loner, you know.
Yeah.
Who's the main character in Mad Men?
Don Draper.
Don Draper, like, yeah, them drinking all the time and cheating on their wives and all this stuff and smoking all the time. It looks sexy. It's like, oh, that looks fun. You know?
I think that Mad Men is a wildly underrated character-driven drama.
I think so.
Just for the character of Don Draper.
Yeah.
Through all the seasons. Yeah.
It exemplifies like kind of the shortcomings of masculinity since like the 50s or 60s. I feel like that's what that show is about. A lot of people think it's cool and racy. I think it's actually showcasing the tragedy of like that 50s and 60s trying to pursue the good life thing.
I think you could take it even a step further and say that it's portraying the tragedy of masculinity today, because it's showing how we've ended up where we are, where you have a character that, depending on your viewpoint, my viewpoint, having watched the series a few times, my wife's super into it, is like Don Draper is like an amplified example of the quiet desperation of men. He wants a wife, and he wants to be a good dad, and he wants to also be like the best salesperson. He wants all those things, but also like he's fucked up. And then it gets in a little bit to his history and stuff, like, and he's not talking to anyone.
No, he's not
point in that show.
Good of a time.
No.
Despite having all the accomplishments and women and, you know, whatever lifestyle. Yeah. Totally. So how do guys know when they're in it? So this is leading into actually what to do about it, right? Because we're guys, we want to be actionable here. We want to leave some guys with some action points. So the first part of like how is really, I think, identifying when you're in it, you know, like knowing when you're shutting down from being in a pile of shit or perceived pile of shit. So how do you know when you're in one, Josh? How do you know when you're in that shutdown?
Yeah. Sometimes there's two ways right now that seem to happen to me. One is taking stock, and the frequency at which I do that is the imperfect thing that I'm still practicing. But if I look back on the day, it's not about judging my day and saying I did or didn't accomplish this or check these boxes. I'm looking at inputs, not outputs. So I'm like, okay, today, like, what were my inputs towards the things that I want to be putting energy into? Did I put into my health? Did I put into my family? Did I put into my business? Did I put into this element of my business? So like, and then trying very hard, even if I'm feeling like I could have done more, to celebrate that success and be like, cool. Like, the result of it doesn't matter. How good I felt at the gym or not doesn't matter. I got to the gym. Yay me. Check. You know?
Totally.
So that's one, is if I do that, then I become immediately aware, sometimes painfully so, where I haven't done an input. Where I'm like, fuck, like I've gone through the whole day and I don't feel like I put in to my business the way that I said I was going to, said to myself.
Yeah.
I haven't put into my health. I didn't even like go and relax. You know, I haven't put into my relationship. Not that I have to do everything every day, but that taking stock is something that I've tried to keep some practice of. The idea for me is like, I want to catch it before it gets bad, before it's like a month goes by too. And then I'm like, and then I go down the rabbit hole.
Slippery slope. The longer you let it go, the harder it is to get out of, I've found. That's something my therapist told me about recovery and stuff too. Yeah, that's interesting. So it's really, you're noticing the avoidance of like important, things you need to be doing that are good for you, Like
well,
really.
And yes, let me add this. I think it's a really important detail that I'm imperfect at in practice still too. It's doing it, but looking at it objectively. It's not taking stock of your day and then judging success or failure. That's the key. I'm only looking at inputs, not outcomes, and I'm just looking at it objectively. Really, really cold, which is fucking hard because it's real easy to be like, ugh. Said I was going to do these 3 things and I didn't, and then start to judge that. It's like, I need to not judge it. I need to just look at it. Because what I'm trying to look at is what are my like automatic behaviors right now.
Interesting. Do you even have the capacity to do that when you're really in it? Because I don't. Like one of the main criteria for me of like being in it, feeling overwhelmed, hopeless, catastrophizing is like I can't be objective. So that's actually one of the tells for me is when I'm not being objective. When I'm like, if I say to Katie, "Oh, I'm feeling like this isn't working or that isn't working," and people are like, "What are you talking about, man? This is going okay. This is happening," Yeah. Like the other day when I was just stressed about some financial stuff in business, and Katie's like, "Your bookkeeper said you have one of the most stable organizations he's ever had as like a bookkeeping client." And I'm like, "Oh, right. I completely forgot about that. Like those facts just disappeared." Yeah. When I start to notice that my reality is being warped by like my emotional experience, I'm like, "Ooh, yeah. Okay, I'm in it."
Yeah.
That's one.
I think I was speaking more to like, how am I noticing if I'm heading down that path?
Oh, when you're starting to. Yeah. Okay.
When I'm starting to. If we're talking about like, how do I know when I'm in it? I mean, to me, it's pretty obvious quickly because I'm like dissatisfied with everything.
Everything.
Is number one. Everything. Doesn't matter what it is, I'm dissatisfied. That's number one. Number two is I procrastinate like fucking crazy.
Yeah, me too.
Doesn't even matter what the thing is, and like it's almost beyond procrastination. It's like I become anxious about having to do the thing, even if it's like I spend more time fretting about doing the thing than it would take to do it. Like that's the cycle that I end up on.
Yeah.
And then, the other thing the other 2 things that I notice more physiologically is my cravings go up. I start being like, oh, I want ice cream. Like I just want to eat pizza. I could make this good dinner tonight, but like, fuck it, let's order pizza. Like that happens to me. Or wanting a drink or whatever. Like in a non-celebratory way, wanting it.
Yeah, in a soothing way, not a non-celebratory way.
Yeah. So cravings, and then physiologically also exhaustion. I'm tired.
Tired.
I can't think of a single time where I've been like, I feel like there's a big pile of shit on top of me and things are hard and whatever else, but like got lots of energy. Thank goodness for that. Like 0 times ever has that been the case.
It's true. Yeah. I usually just feel tired of everything. Yeah, those are good points. I've noticed all those as well. For me, it's also apathy, just not excited by anything. Like going through the motions, some things I should be excited about, like going to surf at this beautiful beach every morning, or like coming home to my lovely dog and partner in this beautiful house, or I don't know, moving something like this podcast forward. I'm just like, rather just sit on Netflix. Yeah, like that. As soon as I'm not excited to do stuff that I know I'm usually. Yeah, fairly. And then there's ebbs and flows and stuff. But especially when it's across the board, if it's like I'm feeling that way, I might not be always stoked about surfing. Maybe I'm going through a low with my surfing. Maybe it's been a weird week of waves. Fine. But like if I'm feeling that and my relationship and my house and my work and my dog and my that's an obvious sign.
You're the common denominator.
I'm the common denominator, What I'm
lethargy.
Sorry, go ahead.
lethargy and apathy. Yeah.
Apathy.
Those are-
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then seeking out vices more than I usually would. And it's just trying to get dopamine hits,
Yeah.
Just trying to get dopamine hits. As soon as I start like being like, should I stop by and get a bag of chips on the way back from surfing at 10 a.m.? It's like, where's that thought come from,
Right.
Like,
Why? Yeah.
Yeah, or should I just get high
Yeah.
by myself? It's like, what? Like that's my little boy or something being like, hey, we're not having a good time right now. That's what that is. And it's just suggesting the only solution that worked for us. And when we were kids, which is like food, numb food, whatever. And then lastly, the sleep rebellion thing is huge. That's a big one for me, Josh. I noticed thanks for pointing that out earlier, because that's a big telltale for me. If I'm feeling pretty good about things, I'll go to bed usually at 10, 10:30, 11, but if I'm avoiding stuff in my life, it'll be like 1 a.m. just doing stupid YouTube videos and stuff. And as soon as I see that happening, that's usually a pretty good sign that I feel overwhelmed and hopeless.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think one other thing I would add to this, because like noticing that these things are happening, that taking stock of the day and be like, oh, I doom scrolled for 2 hours. Like, what a waste of time that was. Like, it's good to notice that. But the one other thing that I notice is the type of self-talk that I have. It's like when my self-talk starts to become like, you're fucking lazy, you're fat, like when that self-talk starts coming in, like,
fucking loser. Yeah, totally.
you fucking loser. That's,
Yeah.
I mean, we're all, I'm sure everyone is, the hardest critic is you on yourself always. But like, when that becomes the normal self-talk, it's like not just I made a bonehead move and I'm like, what the fuck? It's like, it's a perpetual thing. That's hard for me to notice sometimes fast enough, but definitely that's a strong indicator I'm heading in the wrong direction.
I agree. That's such a great point. Fuck, I got distracted there, Josh. Sorry, I was gonna say on the side too. I'll edit this out that you're doing like I'm sitting today and I'm in front of my mic. You're standing like I was last time. Now you're wandering and your audio is going like up and down quite a bit. Just a heads up. Yeah.
Keep it.
I was gonna note that and I was like, should I? Shouldn't I? And then I forgot your point. What was your point?
Oh, just the self-talk, negative self-talk.
Oh yeah, I noticed that as well. Like when I'm in the surf and I start going, like do something, I'm like, oh, you did that again, you fucking idiot. Like when I catch myself saying something like that, I'm like, oh, that's pretty harsh. Okay, that's just exhaustion. I also noticed frustration and being agitated easily. So like speaking of surfing, if I'm in that low place, I'll be out there and I'll be like getting frustrated with the waves or that beach. I'll be like, why can't you just give me a break? If I'm like in the whitewash trying to get out past it, it's like, why? Or like, I'm working on a project and like a tool breaks, like disproportionately large response, like, fuck. Okay, just wants to talk to me about something benign. And I'm like, I can't. You really? You want to talk about this now? I'm just like easily agitated by everything. Yeah, that's usually like irritable, which I know a lot of guys deal with.
100%.
That's a big one for me. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'd say that's me too. As a parent, that's really risky because it comes out in your parenting, in my experience, or it can. Like you have to have a lot of self-discipline to be like, whoa, I'm not letting this spill over into that, which is not always possible. No,
it's gonna come out sometimes.
Yeah, and because your kids are gonna fucking test you is the thing too, right? Like, and it's Murphy's law that it's in the moment that you're feeling like this and feel like there's a pile on top of you. That's when your kid, to your example earlier, that's when they spill the milk. That's when they do the thing that you're like, the fuck, like, why now?
Right? Totally.
Yeah,
I can see that. And then the last one for me is just feeling like there's a big dark rain cloud over me. There's like a depression element to it. I don't think I have like clinical depression or anything like that, but in those moments I feel depressed. I feel low about my situation in life, which is ridiculous. Anybody listening to this who understands my lifestyle must be like, you're an idiot. But it's true. I feel quite low about things, and when I notice myself feeling very low about everything, then that's, and the shame, then I know I'm in it, because I don't usually feel that day to day otherwise.
Right. Yeah, I think sometimes you can get into it so long that you forget what it's like for like what's it like on the other side, you know? So hence that fog analogy, using it earlier, that you forget what it's like to be calibrated to this place where, like, no, it's not normal that I'm calling myself down and getting pissed off all the time and freaking out about this thing. Like, that's not actually who I am. So you have to remind yourself of that sometimes too, just purely for the sake of having, you know, a baseline to judge against, to realize that you're not in your best place.
It's true. And that aloneness really, it's not true, right? Like, whether it's like something fairly benign, like me finding mold in my house, which is turning into a bigger problem, right? We might have to rip open walls and like, but still there's steps I can take, you know? Okay, I get the remediation company, we get in there into the walls, I repair the walls. It might cost me $5,000. I didn't expect that expense, but whatever. You had your daughter pass away, right? And I imagine that's like that's about as bad as it gets as far as on the human experience spectrum. You know, that's a bigger T trauma than finding mold in your house. But it's still kind of the same thing where it's like, yes, you feel doomed for a bit, but then eventually you got to realize that, you got to take steps back towards, I don't know, whatever it is that you want. And so nothing is really that hopeless. Even losing your daughter, right? You ended up turning it into positive in some ways and learned a lot from it. And so when I start feeling that hopeless doom and gloom, like this is never going to work, there's nothing I can do. That's a sign. I'm like, no, that's not true. I must be in it.
Well, I think to that point, there's always someone who's got it worse, and you could but that might be you. Like, there might be a moment where things have been worse for you personally too. So I sometimes have to remind myself of that. Like, I'm behaving like the world is ending, but like I've actually gone through feelings of the world ending, and it's not right now, you know? So like, shut the fuck up, brain.
Yeah,
That's what it feels like sometimes.
Shut
what
up,
are we
brain,
doing here?
Self-care and get back on track here.
Yeah.
Right that ship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you get back on track?
That's the big question here.
Do you have a go-to? Do you have a go-to thing that you're like, okay, if I notice I'm off track, if I do X, Y, Z, pushes me in the right direction?
Can I share one more thing before I make that transition? Is that okay?
Yeah.
I know you and I have talked about it. The last thing on this topic of like how to notice when I'm in it is self-pressure. I don't know if you do this, Josh, but like I'll put a lot of pressure on myself to get a lot of shit done very quickly. And there's just like, it almost feels like I'm going to die if I don't go to Walmart and get a broom handle or something, you know, like I'm just this angsty man. I kind of like, I got to get all these things done in a day. Usually like that, even though it is being productive, it will lead to burnout, and it's not coming from a good emotional place. Have you noticed yourself doing that? Like putting pressure on yourself?
Yeah, all the time, especially with work. But it's not just work like my job. It's work like it's chores as well. Like right now, my garage, I drove down with the truck. We got a bunch of shit we brought back from Canada. It's like the last of our stuff is here. It's fucking sitting in a pile in the garage. Every time I go in there, I get pissed off because it's like a mess in there. I can't move around easily.
Yeah.
You know, I got to move the golf cart out to get the motorcycle out, and I don't like doing that. I'm like, what the fuck's the point of having a motorcycle if I have to move another vehicle to get on my motorcycle? You know,
I got to fix this now. I got to organize my garage now.
I got to go organize the whole garage, you know?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, just being hard on yourself around that stuff. But expectations of how much can you get done. Like, I love, and when I say love, I mean it's comical to me. This like, make a list of the things you're going to do or whatever. Like the only positive list I've ever had recommended to me, which does work, is like you're allowed to put 3 things on the list.
Yes.
And those 3 things cannot have more than 1 or 2 steps associated with them.
Yeah.
If it's not that small and I make a list for what I'm going to do in the day, it's fucking insane. It's like a quarter of work, you know, like, okay, I'm just going to quickly finish writing this entire book and then make this video course and then clean the whole garage and also drive my son to basketball and coach the team tonight. And we're going to have steak for dinner, sous vide, you know?
Yeah. And along the way, I'm going to be there for my wife, and I'm going to be there for my staff, and I'm going to be there. Yeah.
Right.
Crazy. Yeah. It's almost like you have this unreasonable little character who's like got the highest standards for you, just like being like, you have to do this. And I've actually gone down the rabbit hole of, or else what? And it's like this feeling of like, or else I'm going to die. You know, and it sounds strange to say that with benign tasks like going to Walmart to get a broom or whatever, but it's like that's how it feels for me. I think that's trauma. I think that's trauma result for me. I think it's really just like a lot of anger and angst and pressure in our household and expectations and disapproval and shame. And so like there's a lot of pressure on me to like get things done the way they want them to, or else there was pretty significant consequences for a little kid, you know?
Yeah.
Maybe even that little kid was fear of dying. So it was like if fear of getting hurt. So I think that's where that comes from for me.
Right. Well, it's funny. I'm relating to what you're saying. I don't have the sense of this fear of dying specifically. It's the semantics of how we explain it to ourselves in our own mind. I get what you're saying, but you know, like to me, it's like it all goes back to the potential outcome of loneliness. You know, like it all goes back to like, like, oh, okay, well, if I don't do this, then I'll fail myself, and then I'll even not like myself, and then no one else will have perform whatever, you know, and that's pretty extreme when we're talking about like unpacking some boxes or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And also,
yeah.
We both run our own businesses, so there are cases where this isn't true, but a lot of the time, if I do or don't do something in the day, I'm the only one who knows.
Yeah.
None of my team fucking knows. My wife's not here working in the business. Like, no one knows. No one cares.
No one cares.
You know, it's only me.
Yeah, but that pressure's there. Yeah, whether it's like whatever wording you put to it, like, oh, I want to be loved, or I don't want to be alone, or like I'm gonna die if I don't get done this. That's where that self pressure comes from me. Not a healthy place. Yeah, and that's when I know I'm in it. So then the question becomes, right? How do you get yourself out of it?
How do you get out of it?
How do you get out of it? You're in a funk because you've had a bunch of stuff happen in your life you're not happy with. You're feeling low, hopeless. You're numbing. You're avoiding. You're isolating. You're noticing yourself leaning towards vices. You're ruminating, and I don't know. Yeah, what do you do? How the heck do you get out of it?
Yeah. I got a quick one and then a spin back question for you.
Right.
The quick thought is, and this is if it's, lighter weight, sometimes it's like just having a bit of an epiphany, and the epiphany is that you have a choice. It's like radical self-responsibility, and by extension, realizing at every moment you have a choice. At every moment, you actually can make yourself do something else. Now, that's not always perfect, and I'm not saying I've even been capable of doing that. The example, though, would be if I can be like, Josh, what the fuck? You didn't go to the gym. You're not in shape. If I can have that self-talk, I can also look in the mirror and say, like, you fucking crushed it today, dude. You did this. Or like, your beard looks pretty awesome. I can also do that, which feels fucking ridiculous. But your subconscious brain doesn't know the difference.
No, it doesn't.
So it's like if you're accidentally practicing a negative spiral, purposefully practice a positive spiral, start pulling it the other way. I think that's one thing that I found helps. It definitely works to some extent.
I'll double down on that. I feel the same way. For me, I can't get to the place of like higher level how I want to think about myself. For me, I've just learned over the years that the most efficient way to start to pull myself out of overwhelm funk like that is to just take small steps in the right direction. Because at the end of the day, I will feel that way about myself you're talking about. So for example, like maybe I'm just having feeling a lot of avoidance towards my work in a given day. And like I've learned that if I just like come and do this thing with you, like you and I ramble about men's stuff, or I set up my film lights, I did that one day, or I like improve my background, like something that isn't going to help actually move the business forward, but something that I don't feel resistance to doing, that'll get me momentum. It's that little steps. And so I just honestly on those days where I'm really struggling or whatever, I'll just be like, okay, what do I feel drawn to at all? And it'll be like, oh, let's watch a YouTube video on those topics. So I have something to talk about with Josh. And then I'm making notes. And then all of a sudden I'm in my drive. And then I clean up this thing in drive. And then all of a sudden I'm messaging a staff. And now I've got some momentum, you know?
Yeah. I like that. I agree that the momentum piece is huge. This is a whole nother episode to talk about procrastination, distraction, the sort of ADD element of this too. But you're right. It's like sometimes I just need to do anything. And when I say anything, it's like literally go have a shower and like get dressed overly nice for what I need to work in my office for the day.
Yeah.
But like just by doing that, I'm like, it's like the make your bed in the morning philosophy. You start your day by make your bed in the morning. It's like one thing. It's just one small thing to lead to the next thing, to lead to the next thing. It compounds.
Totally. Yeah. A few weeks ago when I was feeling, I was set back with some house stuff, and I was like, you know, laying on the couch, watching Netflix, eating junk food, giving into those vices. I might have even done that for a day or two before eventually I'll go, okay, I can't keep doing this because now I'm feeling more anxious about the things I'm not doing. So luckily I usually at a point after a few days. Used to be like weeks or months of that. So the good news is that the timelines for how long I have these like lows is going down and down. But I was like, what is, you know, I'm not consciously thinking this, but I just had this idea. Wouldn't it be cool if we had this, because we got some string lights for my garage because there's bad lighting in there. It's really bright. And we like to pop in there at night to grab things. And sometimes I'll skateboard in there with my friends or whatever. And it's like, what if I put just cool hipster lights up there? What if I just did that? It'll only take a half an hour. So I went and did that and I felt great. And then all of a sudden I found myself tidying up other things. And then I found myself being like, oh yeah, I should send this one email. And then all of a sudden I'm working for a couple hours. And it's like, how did that happen? You know? It can be mundane, benign, just anything that you're excited about. Anything. As long as it's not a vice. As long as it's not going to do damage to you in the short to medium to long term, then that'll help you, you know? That's the distinction.
Right.
Yeah.
Momentum building instead of escaping.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it can still be an escape. Like the string lights were an escape from the bigger things I had to be doing. But at least it gets me unstuck, you know? And
yeah. Well, that's part of like a level of brutal self-honesty that's required too. Like for me, I'm like, okay, it's an escape to go put the string lights up or whatever, sure. But I'm going to do that, and I know that like at least I'm doing something that I'm inspired towards, and that inspiration helps me build the momentum versus I'm going to go have a drink. I have to be brutally honest with myself. It will feel good to go have a drink or something. That's true. But I also know that if I have, for me personally, at this point in my life, literally fucking one drink, it's over.
Yeah.
Like my day is over. I will accomplish fuck all afterwards. Even if I trick myself into thinking I'm going to, I won't, or it'll be bullshit. Yeah. You know? So that's the brutal honesty where for myself that I have to have for myself on those things.
Yeah, I can't even think that far down the path, to be honest. For me, it's just like I've just learned over numbing and avoiding so much over the last 20 years that like becoming an expert in my own numbing tactics. Just like I'm just like, maybe I should put my surfboard up on the wall. I've been wanting to do that for a bit. Or maybe I should fix that guitar string that's broken in the background, you know, or like, I mean, those are pretty practical things. I mean, maybe it's even like going and skateboarding in my garage. Because at least it's not on the couch, you know, being a degenerate. At least I'm moving. At least I'm like, feel like I'm helping my surfing in some way, even though I'm probably not. Just making myself look like more of a kook, you know? It can be so simple, and it doesn't have to be meaningful or bigger. And there's no thinking around it. I just learned that that's what I need to do to get myself off the couch from hiding.
Yeah. You know, the other thing that I think is a good technique, and my personal experience with this, because it's been something I've tried to practice with more consistency for decades at this point, and I still haven't found a good cadence for myself. And I think it's because I find it feels awkward, it feels challenging, is gratitude. If I'm in wallowing state and feeling like there's a pile on top of me, if I really practice legitimate gratitude, if I actually fucking write it down, if I actually say it out loud to someone else, it's nearly impossible to keep spiraling down. Like, it is not possible, but like it changes something. It changes a consciousness thing. It's like after I say 3 things I'm grateful for, then to start spiraling downhill further, it feels like I have to make a decision to keep spiraling down.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, there's a decision there. And there's been a couple times in my life where I've tried to do the gratitude thing and I just can't get there and I do spiral down more, but it's pretty rare, you know?
Mm.
And I think that's because you can only feel one emotion at a time. Right? So you're feeling down, you force yourself to go skateboard in the garage, you force yourself to do gratitude, and all of a sudden you get this like different emotional experience, different chemicals in the body, or different hormones and stuff. And then you don't automatically just go whoop right back to that, unless you're dealing with severe clinical depression. Sure. It's a different thing. It's like, that even just doing a couple of gratitude things, I've noticed that'll make a difference for me too. For me, Josh, it's not even gratitude that does it for me. For me, it's what's going well right now. Because my personal bullshit is that I tend to get too hyper-focused on the couple things that aren't going well, and I forget about all the things that are. And then that leads me to hopelessness and despair. So for me, it's making a list of what's going well. My dog's great. You know, the business is still chugging along. My staff have been great lately. Oh, I got to surf 3 times this week. Remember when you weren't living in a surf town? You know, it's like just doing a list, and that puts me in a more positive state. I'm like feeling into each of those things as I'm listening to them, and that kind of pulls me out of the feelings I was in before of depression. Yep. That's the best I can explain that for me.
Yeah. I think we're saying the same thing. Gratitude or positive,
Yeah, I'm relating.
Absolutely. Yeah. Recently, for me, it's the way that, because I found like saying, oh, I'm really grateful that blah, blah, blah. Like that feels weird. It's always felt weird to me.
Yeah, feels forced.
But it feels forced. That's what it is. But so what's been interesting recently for me is I've had gratitude around more negative things. So like, oh, there's been this challenge between my wife and I or whatever, but I'm like seeing the silver lining and gratitude from it and like focusing on that part of it, that still works. I'm just like, like this was fucking hard, or I didn't like going through that, or I wish it didn't have to be like that. But I'm grateful because now I have this perspective and it's making me look at things this way and whatever,
That's really interesting. There's a great thinker that I follow. His name is John DeMartini. And I think he's a doctor, but anyway, he's the way he talks about the mind and how to work with it is fascinating. He looks a little kooky, he's kind of like a Tony Robbins type of energy where he talks really fast and he's always saying things like, I've traveled the world and I've seen, and he's just like overselling himself a lot. But the man's a genius when it comes to this stuff. And he talks about how one of the best techniques he's found for, being a master of your mind is doing the flip technique. So like when you're in a negative situation, it's like you're very focused on one, though this is bad for all these reasons. Flip it around just as an experiment. Just go, what is good about this? Is there anything good about this? Or like if you're feeling like you have no love in your life right now because you just got dumped or cheated on or whatever, your wife's not, she's shutting you down or whatever. It's like, okay, well, where is love in your life? And because there's always, the opposite is always true. There's always, and then if you focus on that, then that'll get you to that emotional state you're in, and you're more likely to take the actions you actually need to take to get you where you want to go.
Yeah. I like that one. That's good because
I like it too. It's worked well for me.
I can see that. It's never that like, and I mean, that's that when we talk about clinical depression, like that's what that is you get to this place where you like stop being able to see any positivity anywhere. Yeah. And like, if you're in that place, I legitimately believe you need professional help. That's not that's not to pull yourself up. You need to get help at that point. But yeah, being able to say this stuff's shitty, but like, here's the flip side of it somewhere else or whatever.
Just even for a second, just even for a minute, just to where else is this not true? And when I was single and I was lonely and I'd been cheated on in relationships, it's like I really felt like I didn't have anybody close, and it's like, oh no, my family's there, these friends are there, my friend Josh is there. It's like, okay, that kind of steadies the boat, and then I'm able to take action. Yep,
totally.
Yeah.
Another one that's obvious and not played out because it's endlessly powerful, but is movement. How do you pull yourself out of this? Like, it's fucking physical movement, dude.
Yeah.
The way I look at it is your physical body, you can call it a temple or whatever you want, but it is a tuning fork for the rest of you. Your mind is a fucking liar. Your mind will lie to you all the time.
Yeah.
Your body has no mechanism of lying.
No.
It can only just reflect to you what's happening. And there is no such thing as connecting your mind and body because they are permanently connected, full stop. So that's the whole somatic healing, modalities that are all just exploding right now too. It's talking about this a lot. Your body's going to reflect what's taking place, but it's like negative emotion, negative thought happens and you put it in your body. That's one direction. But just like, electrical impulses can travel in multi directions on a wire, it works the other way around. So when you go and you move your body, it also reverses. That is the analogy I like to think about. That, like, that's why you feel good after you work out. That's why it feels good to go move or go for a walk. It's why it feels good to have sunlight on your face. It's why it's exhilarating, feels good to go in an ice bath and like shock your system in that way and get cold shock going. It's because your body is then getting things moving, and emotion is energy in motion. So if it's stuck in your body, whether you don't even have to know what it's doing, it's just anything that's trapped, that's stuck, it's going to be stuck in your body too. So like, get it going.
Yeah. There's multi benefits, right? You get the anxiety out that you're feeling. And then also it's like, why do heroin addicts and these people addicted to opiates, why do they end up doing that when it's just some plant in Africa or wherever, or from or Afghanistan, or like, why is that? Well, it's because we have natural opiates in our body and they're called endorphins, and what gets released when you exercise is endorphins. Yeah. So you're getting a real good high. So like, is there a better, and with not a lot of downside unless you just manically exercise, which isn't a problem for you and I. Actually, it is for surfing. With surfing, it's a problem for me. I'll surf 3 times a day until I'm just depleted. But the point is that, yeah, I think that's the main, those are the main benefits of exercise. Endorphin release, instant state change, and like a really healthy one, a long lasting one. And then also just getting that anxiety and that anger out, moving that energy in the body, which men especially seem to need to do.
Yeah. And I think there's different ways to do that. And you can get into the nuance of it too. Like, one of the things for me for the last years is I box once a week, sometimes twice a week with this guy, Sada.
Great.
A buddy of mine. He comes out of Las Mochis, out of these like cool boxing gyms, or like Chavez or whoever's from. Like, the dude knows boxing.
Yeah.
So he's really fun to box with because it occupies my brain. Like, you have to think when you're boxing with him. It's like playing chess. And on top of it, you're doing something physical in general, but also the type of energy of the physical movement of fucking hitting something.
Yeah, that's
like,
different. Yeah.
That's different than going for a walk or going for a swim or going for a surf. And so for me, that's not the only thing I do, but like when I'm feeling like a lot of more pent up emotion or when I'm having a more like leaning towards that fight, flight, freeze, depressive episode, and it's coming out in anger and stuff, I don't have to go think about why I'm angry and box. But like, when I'm done boxing, I come home, I'm not angry. It's like almost impossible.
Yeah. It is. Yeah.
So
I agree 100%. Yeah. I had a therapist tell me that men need that push away energy, like when they're doing physical things, pushing away. And you can get this from a jog for sure, and you can get this from other things, but I found that hitting a punching bag, doing push-ups, jiu-jitsu, just going out and smashing things in the floor. One day I had a really difficult experience happen, and I had no exercise things around. I was in between different errands and meetings and stuff, and so I just went into this patch of forest I knew was nearby, and I just smashed sticks against trees. It was fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah. And somebody
fucking chopping firewood, bro.
Oh, dude. Yeah, chopping firewood. Exactly. That striking something. And I think that's deeply evolutionary, biological, that men typically we used to have to do a lot of that stuff. And so that would be a natural outlet for those emotions, you know? And I noticed that when I stopped playing hockey, you probably noticed this, I didn't have an outlet for it and that stuff built up. So I think that's really important for a lot of guys, is that push away energy. I've even heard of guys like doing, like, what if there's nothing else around, like just pushing off a wall, like, no, if they're really upset, like, you're with your weight, like, no, fuck you. Fuck, it's that fuck you, push away energy.
Yeah, I had a therapist give me that drill when I was like having a lot of pent up like energy, and it was coming out in like rage episodes, and to the point that like it scared me. Like I was scared of myself. I'm like, I don't like that. Like that's like a lost control thing. But it was just get into a door frame or push against the wall. But the door frame's good because you have like full anchoredness to just push with everything you've got. And I don't know, pretty simple to do, but effective.
Effective.
Very effective.
I've done it on steering wheel too, where it's like, just squeeze the steering wheel really hard in a ragey moment, just like by myself trying to get it out, recognizing that I'm angry, trying to get it out, not like driving with my partner and trying to intimidate her or anything. Just like putting some angry music on, some punk or surf rock, and like just squeezing the steering wheel and be like, fuck. And then sure enough, like I feel good for a week or 2 weeks. And it's like, oh. And then I find it kind of builds. It builds up, and then I need to release it. And it's like a every 2 week kind of thing for me, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree that it goes in cycles a little bit like that.
Yeah.
So,
but when you're in the chip pile, it can definitely build up more. So move the body is the point.
Move the body. And I think by extension, you already said this, it's state change that I think is really, really powerful. So when you move the body, you change your state. But the two other things that came to mind is, one, you just said it, is music. You know, so there's this thing, if you haven't heard of it, I know you have, but if any listeners haven't heard of it, called centering. And it's some people would use this as a meditation technique, but it's not exactly the same thing. Centering is like, listen to classical music and there's, a symphony playing or whatever, and then pick out one instrument and just hyper focus on that one thing. And just listen to it. And then halfway through the song, switch. Like listen to only the guitar, then listen to only the trombone, and then listen to and that, like, I don't know, it centers you. It pulls you back into like the right now moment of things, and it creates a state change. So that's hyper specific, and you can do that in other ways. Go outside and listen to the sounds in the forest. But music in general is I think a very good state change thing. If you're feeling angry, it doesn't mean you have to listen to calm music to get calm, although you could do that. It's like you're feeling angry, like fucking blast the rage.
Yeah. Get it out. Yeah.
Get it out.
Anything sensory, right? Like you've probably heard this in yoga too. Like I've had whatever therapists be like, feel your butt in the chair right now. Like how does that actually feel? Like where are your feet touching the chair? So it could be like sensory like that. It could be, what's the smell? Is there a smell in the room? Right now it's mold in my house, so I don't really want to do that. But it could be listening to an orchestra and noticing the trombone. I mean, who doesn't like a good trombone? It could be noticing different colors between the trees and the sky, or like if you're in a city, it could be that homeless guy rattling a garbage or like a shopping cart with cans in it, or just like. But it's about getting your mind to something in the now. Or the breath. Of course, the classic one for you yogis, yoga bros, Josh, is just coming back to the breath. And I find that one harder. I don't know why, but when I can do it,
that one's hard.
Just gets me out of all my stuff. Why is it hard?
Because it's bullshit up front.
Right.
Here's unpopular yoga bro opinion. You'd be like, oh, you're upset. Like, focus on your breath and center it. Fuck off.
Yeah, no, I'm trying to get away from all this. This feels complex.
That's step 2. The breath is step 2. The breath will change your physiology instantly, but it's the second step.
Yeah.
The first step is center. It's focus on something. How's your ass feel in the chair? And then, because here's what'll happen. How's your ass feel in the chair? Your breath changes. Then you notice your breath changes. Then, because you can pay attention to your breath, now take control of it and do something with it.
Yeah, you're right. Really, just by even listening to the bird chirping outside or the feeling my ass in the chair right now, I noticed there's like my nervous system's like at ease a little bit. It's like, and then I notice my breath going down to my belly more, bigger belly breaths. It's really switching from sympathetic dominance to like parasympathetic, which is rest and digest, right? Somehow being present activates that.
Yeah.
Interesting. Never thought about it like that.
Yogis would say it's the word awareness. That word is a huge subject. It's all-encompassing. Presence is correct, but awareness, it's like awareness and presence are intertwined. Because you can think of awareness of what's going on, awareness of your history, but it's like awareness of yourself right now.
Yeah, that makes sense. There's good books on this too, like The Power of Now and stuff. That's which the whole philosophy behind that is that you got things going in your life, but also you're in your mind. Most of your issues are actually how you're thinking about them. And so if you just come back to presence, and right now there's no problems. Like right in this moment, right in this moment when you and I are talking, are there any actual problems here? The room is warm. I already had food and water. I'm talking with a friend. I have a bit of a headache. I'm tired because I've been rambling on for so long, but like everything's pretty good right now. So if I connect back to that, that can be a source of, buoyancy, picking you back up from a darkness.
Well, and it's even in the most extreme scenario where there is legitimately a threat and a problem right now. If you can be present, if you can be aware of yourself and anchored right now, you'll probably have better decision making.
That's what Navy SEALs do.
Yeah.
Right? They're in battle. They're actually taught, military people are actually taught to ground in that way to the present, because you're in the battle, especially for your first time. It's like all this stuff's coming at you, there's all this noise, and it's like, what in that moment where you're in some side of some rubbled street, it's like in some ditch, what are you going to use to actually ground yourself? It's like, oh, how does my back feel against the rocks in this ditch?
Mm-hmm. Yep. I did my industrial first aid ticket years ago, and there was 2 instructors of the course. It was an intensive. It's fucking really intense, that course. But to that point, that one of the instructors was brilliant, and that was the big thing he said. He's like, if you're the OFA 3 attendant at a job site, for example, and something actually goes sideways, it'll seem like everything is a panic emergency rush. The only person who's going to be able to keep it in control is you and help, which means the first person to take care of always is yourself. And now that's beyond, are you putting yourself in danger entering a scene? It's also like, get yourself grounded, because you need to make critical decisions at speed. So like, it's moving faster doesn't make you faster. Slowing down, getting centered makes you faster.
Yeah. Interesting.
The other state change thing, this is a really practical one, because ice baths are such a huge subject matter right now, but like heat and cold, but specifically cold. Like you jump in it. I do this with my daughter. My daughter, she's 8, and she is such a powerful person at her age already and has a lot of emotion. And we have our ice bath going. Like, if she starts going a little bit sideways, I'm like, hey, like, do you want to go? Let's go in the ice bath. And she goes and jumps in it. I keep it not quite as cold. And it's like, it's instant. You cannot go in an ice bath and then come back out and be like, oh, I'm so angry. Like, it's like so hard to do that.
Yeah.
So a buddy of mine made, or a hot shower, or a cold shower even. So a buddy of mine made the suggestion, and I always thought this was brilliant. He's like, if you don't have an ice bath or whatever, and you're finding yourself in a cycle where every day you're like, I'm going down this rabbit hole. He's like, just keep a bowl of water in your fridge at all times. And then when you start to feel that, go get the bowl of water, put some ice in it, and fucking put your face in the bowl of water.
Yeah.
For as long as you can handle it.
Right.
It works.
It does work.
It's just shock something, state change, shock something.
Yeah, state change is shocks. Also, there's the mammalian dive reflex, which is where this thing humans have, or when you enter the water, particularly the ocean, but it also happens in lakes. showers, baths, where if I guess we have certain receptors in places that can tell we're in water. And what happens is when we're in water, our breathing rate slows down, anxiety goes down, all that stuff, heart rate goes down.
Specifically neck and face, and if it's cold water, mammalian reflex triggers very quickly.
I didn't know that. Yeah, interesting. Yeah, that's a really useful one too. For me, one of the most pragmatic things that I've been taught is, and I learned this first in a course, a personal growth course called Landmark. Have you heard of that, Josh? You know Landmark? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. My wife did Landmark, actually.
Yeah. I'd summarize it as personal growth for people who ride the bus. It's like step one for people who have never thought about this kind of stuff. But one of the lessons from the first course is fairly valuable, which is, spoiler alert, when things happen in life, there's the facts of what happened, and then there's the story. And often the story is what ends up causing the suffering. And so in those moments where I'm really triggered or down and out, sometimes I'll take a journal and I'll literally break out in in like a bubble mind map thing. Like one side is like what actually happened, and then the other side is the story that I'm telling myself about it. And so then that arms me with the facts of what actually happened. And then I can go and, okay, so that happened. And then I bring other facts in, which are, these are the things that are going okay. So I'll kind of talk myself back from that emotional cliff, that emotional low from that. Just with those, taking that story I'm telling myself, like, oh, this is never going to work. See, I knew this business wasn't going to work. See, we should do something else. Grass the screener, feeling low, feeling shame. Like, pull that all out. What actually happened? Oh, I found some mold in my AC unit. I can fix that. You know? Right. And I'll go, and then you bring in the other supporting facts. It's like, have you been through stuff that's worse than this? Yes. You know, have you been fine even though you had mold in the previous house? Yes. You know, oh, it's a good thing. That's the John Martini thing. Flip it positive. Well, you know, what's the opposite? Like, good thing I found this now. Could have been another year. You know, we're not sick right now, et cetera, et cetera. And then I find that ends up that pulls me back from that real spiraling of shame spiral and catastrophizing and stuff like that. Just like focus on the facts, not the story.
In cognitive behavioral therapy, that's like one of the core concepts as well, is like, how do you look at reality objectively is like step one. And in the yoga sense of things, it's take the position of the observer. Both of those lead to two other thoughts in my mind, which is, from the position of the observer, you realize that you can observe yourself, including your own emotional state, which is sort of proof in my mind that, like, you are not your emotions. And that forces you to look at things objectively, like, oh, that's interesting. I'm having this emotion. Yeah. That's a fact. That's happening. But I can just look at it. Who's looking at it? Not the emotion. So, like, I don't have to define myself by my emotions if I can look at them, because they're not me. They're just an emotion.
Right. You can observe them. Yeah.
I can observe them. So then, you. And then more back into the CBT sort of angle of looking at it, there's also the elements, and this is probably more relevant when it's self-talk or there's another person involved rather than a situation like finding mold in your ductwork. But is asking the question, like looking at it objectively and then following up with the question, is there another possible explanation? Oh, this narrative, it's the narrative. Sean's whatever, he probably thinks my hat's ugly. He's going to tell me to shave my beard later, whatever. And then looking at it to be like, wait a minute, like this is my emotional reaction in this narrative I'm happening. That's the objective look. But then, is there another explanation? Sounded like Sean was speaking at me with a shitty tone or whatever, like, oh, I'm shitty at doing work. Like, wait a minute, is there another explanation? Asking that question. That's hard to do. That takes a lot of personal work and discipline to pull that out. But when I have been able to do that, I
think that's the third step, right? First step is state change. Second step is like, coming back to the breath and just like centering yourself. And then third step is picking apart what's true and what's not. And like, I just had a weird social circumstance where I've worked hard to like, get to know a lot of surfers in this community and like have a good standing in this community. And some guy saw me in one conflict out in the water once. It's really the only conflict I've had like this, and he's avoided me ever since. And we have all these friends in common, and he just actually, hold on, I'm gonna cut that out, Josh. I don't really want to get into that yet, but I will say I had some guy basically judge me for something, just his interpretation of me, and we have always friends in common. And it didn't make any sense to me, because why would he be so judgy of me when and not like me and be so cold and harsh around town when all of his friends and they really like me. And I just had to work myself back from that, and basically like, I'm just rambling, sorry dude. I'll do it one more time, Josh.
You got it.
I noticed, by the way, in our editing at like the 2-hour mark, I start to fucking ramble and struggle, so that might be a good note for us moving forward.
I think
actually, this weird scenario
we're closing
where
up now.
Yeah. I actually had this weird scenario where somebody in my social, a friend of a friend basically expressed some judgment around me, and obviously it didn't feel very good. And I used these tactics where I like state changed, got centered, and the third step was, what's actually happening here? And then the fourth step is I called a friend, which we'll talk about in a second. That's the last point for me. But at that third step and the fourth step, I had to pick apart like what's his stuff and what's mine. Okay, well, all of his friends like me and they know I'm a good person. They all are actively reaching out to me to do stuff. So like clearly I'm doing okay in the community here. I've made an effort to be a good person around town and in the surf, and helped a lot of people with their surf journeys. And like, okay, so what is this? Well, clearly I just remind this guy of somebody, or like there's something about me. It reminds me of his dad, or some person that he had trauma with growing up. Because why would this guy hold such a grudge when he could just ask his friends, hey, what's that Sean guy about? Yeah, and they'd probably just tell him, Sean's a good dude. He's, but he has this grudge. And it's like, it's hard to pick these things apart and see them honestly. But it's like, oh no, that's all his stuff. 100% his stuff, none of mine. So, sorry, Josh. I'll just probably cut that out.
No,
I'll
that's
jump right
great.
in the fourth thing. Okay, and I see that in my own life. And then in the fourth thing is probably just calling somebody, talking to people about it. Hey, I did that with you a few weeks ago. I was having a hard day, and I didn't have the mental and emotional bandwidth to like be able to sort through stuff myself. So I just called you, kind of dumped on you, to be honest. And that offered a state change, took the pressure away. And then we were able to talk through things and sort through what's fact versus what's story, and how I can get myself out of the situation.
Yeah. Well, I think the externalization of it through talking it out is a huge component. And then just straight up asking for help. Like,
yeah.
And the asking for help doesn't have to be so dramatic. It doesn't have to be like, Sean, I need your help. Like, it's just fucking like, what do you think about this? Like.
Totally.
But just knowing, like, going outside of yourself, because I think the feeling of being buried alive comes from, not entirely, but in part from perpetuating this sense of isolation.
I agree.
So
yeah, isolation creates pressure and makes things more difficult to figure out. Yeah. And there's been a lot of studies on like asking for help. Us guys, we're so hesitant to do it out of fear of looking weak, or like we don't want to burden people. But the reality is that the person that benefits from the most is the one who's been asked for help.
Yes.
And it's also a great way to create connection with people, is to ask them for help. I noticed in my own life, a lot of the more gruff dudes I know are the less expressive dudes. If you ask them for help, if you reach out to them that way, they'll show up.
Most helpful people.
Yeah. Yeah. And so that's been really helpful for me too. I think that's an important one that a lot of guys neglect.
It's funny you say that, and this is probably a discussion for a different episode, but like, my experience has been very in line with that. The people who express like, oh, I'm here for you, I'll be there to help, whatever else, are the ones that show up the least when it counts. The ones that have their fucking mouths shut, and seem to be the most off-putting dude or whatever. If you're like, dude, I need help with this, they're the ones who are like, okay, yeah, I don't know what that is, but it's there. I got one more.
Yeah, go for it.
I think now I lost my thought. Give me 1 second.
That's fine.
Oh. This is, again, something that's slightly more advanced in that it needs to be practiced, and it's a personal like development, self-control thing that's deep. But this sense of being buried alive under a bunch of different things, you also have to be able to look at your pile of shit and ask the question, and you were saying this sort of a moment ago, what of this is within my control and what of this is not within my control? And it's this thought that like you're not actually responsible in its entirety for the outcome of things, which is a challenging thought, but you are responsible for doing the work towards the outcomes that you want or that you need. So if you have a pile of shit, sometimes what happens is we start adding things to the pile in our mind, or we start getting stressed about the outcome of it, and that's not yours. That's not your weight.
Yeah, there's nothing you can do about it.
There's nothing you can do about it. So, but what can you do something about? You know, you can take care of yourself. You can do the job you need to do. Like, simplify it down to just what is directly within your direct right now input control.
Yeah, and often that paralysis from like resisting the things you can't control ends up holding me back from taking action on the things that I can control. Yeah, just switching that focus. What can I do? Back to our earlier point of like, just, I don't know, moving my surfboard from here or there. Just, it could be simple stuff like that, but what's in your control? Yeah. Yeah, and that's separating the fact out from the story kind of thing, you know, too. Yeah, that's a big one, isn't it?
One other thing that relates back to the, you know, fixing the backdrop, putting your lights up, whatever, like just doing anything. This guy, Bashar, that I follow, he's very, very fascinating, talks about the purpose of life, like what you're, quote, supposed to do, is follow inspiration. Now, there's some, like, the inspiration of, like, right now in this moment, what am I excited about? That's not always maybe 100% perfect. But I think from the sense of being buried under stuff and just getting momentum built out, I think that's where the concept of, like, what are you inspired around? Like, what's just your natural inclination to the thing you want to do, inclusive of, I actually legitimately need to rest. I do just need to say, like, fuck it for the afternoon and watch TV. But making that a conscious, purposeful decision, following the inspiration, trusting your own intuition on that. And because often when I do that, then I'm like, oh, I just want to fucking sit on the couch and watch Netflix. Then I'm like, wait, what actually do I want to do? What actually am I going to feel good? What actually, like, how am I actually feeling? And it sometimes it's like, no, I'm going to go shoot hoops. I'm going to shoot basketball outside, you know? It's something else. So, totally. Yeah, I think following your inspiration, following your intuition.
And you just touched on the really important piece too, which we haven't touched on, which is just general self-care. Like when I'm feeling upset about something, there's always a component of me being tired or underslept or, haven't allowed myself to play in like a couple weeks, you know?
Yep.
Yeah.
There's an acronym.
Yeah. Haven't taken my foot off the gas, you know?
Exactly. General self-care. There's an acronym. I don't know what it is, but the basic, I can't remember exactly what it is, but my wife uses it, and it's used in a lot of addiction therapy. And it's like when you're feeling a sense of overwhelm, you first have to just go through this mental checklist of, am I hungry? Am I tired?
Yeah.
Have I moved my body? It's like this checklist of like, when we get overwhelmed and you're feeling buried under all the shit, you like lose sight of this other stuff. You're like, and that's the general self-care. You're like, wait a minute. Yeah, I'm feeling like this, but actually, like, I'm fucking hungry right now.
Yeah, I just didn't eat. I missed breakfast and lunch. Yeah, because
I haven't eaten in 8 hours.
Yeah.
I'm thirsty, you know?
Totally.
Or whatever.
Or, sometimes I'll feel irritable and like upset about things, and then I'll check my sleep ring. I have a sleep tracking ring thing, the Oura ring, and I'll be like, oh, I got like 5 hours of sleep on average for the last 6 days. Yeah, that'll do it. You know, that's a good recipe for being cranky and down and catastrophizing. Yeah.
Right. So then on that day, you're like, it is self-care, and I do feel like, and it would be in my best interest to fucking have a nap.
I just go have a nap and watch some hockey
Do
after.
that.
Yeah.
No problem.
Totally.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah. Anything else for you, Josh? Anything else come to mind?
Yeah, it's kind of a big one. Now that you mentioned you have the Aura ring, I'm going to ask the question that everyone wants to ask. Have you ever put it on your dick?
I thought about it. It doesn't fit, though. My dick's too small.
I feel like that's maybe a product. We both talked about, like, maybe we should have a business that sells products. So that's our random. I'm like, oh, I'm overwhelmed, Sean. And you're like, yeah, me too. Like, cool. Let's sell product. That'll be easier.
Let's get another
like,
one. Let's get a ring, but let's get a sleep ring, but put it on your penis.
Yeah, a penis something tracker. I don't know what it would track.
Funny. I thought about putting a lot of things on my dick. That sleep ring is not one of them.
It's the number one reason I don't have one. And I'm like, they don't make one big enough for that.
Maybe your readings would be off the charts. Blood flow, 100%. Oh, got it.
Says you're super oxygenated.
Yeah, exactly. It's not the worst thing. Well,
all right, brother.
Yeah, well, I really hope this helps anybody who's listening, who's stuck and buried under a pile of stuff, feeling overwhelmed, feeling hopeless. Honestly, this is just good therapy for Josh and I. It feels like, hey, Josh.
Yeah.
Just to talk about talk it out.
I've convinced myself.
Yeah. After a couple of weird weeks, this is just a good reminder for us. And yeah, if you guys have any questions or any suggestions on what we can improve here, leave them in the comments below. And we'll see you on the next one.
See you on the next one.
Good luck getting out from under that pile.